Hello, welcome to the September video chat with fans or viewers. A few announcements. Again, running behind my projected plans. I was hoping to have, it seems like I'm perpetually a month behind, so maybe that'll stop eventually. I don't know. Anyway, both Freeman's Mind and Next Game Dungeon are underway. They both got delayed for different reasons. Freeman's Mind, it was some bugs, but then there would be little fixes, and I was having a back and forth with somebody helping me, and it was like, it would just be like, okay, well, we just need to fix this. Okay, well, do this again. Okay, we need to fix this. And then I'd say, okay, well, he sends a fix, like, oh, it's not working. So this again, it's still not working. I checked some other things. Sometimes it was a problem on my end. Sometimes it was one of them was a problem on his end. One was just something changed in the engine, and it was just, it's like 95% of the work on his end was just done like in just one shot. And then that bottom 5%, it just took like a week to sort out. Like during that, I wasn't twiddling my thumbs during that time though. During that time, I was mostly working on Game Dungeon. And the reason that's delayed is I thought this was gonna be a shorter one, but I ended up so many things, there were a lot of surprises in the game for me, and there's so many things I really wanted to talk about. So I think it's triple the original intended length. So I don't know. Somebody's saying chat stuck. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Okay, well, so if I click off, yeah, chat, okay, I don't. Yeah, I was having problems with Twitch earlier where the solution for the first problem was to do this exact same thing 3 times as opposed to twice, because doing it twice didn't work. And the solution to the second problem was doing the exact same thing twice, because the first time it didn't work. So, yeah, I was thinking about how that quote, about madness doing the same thing, expecting different results, which I never thought really worked. But this is where the real sense of madness comes from expecting the same thing to happen each time you do it and then getting different results, which, so yeah. Okay, so sorry the videos aren't out yet, but I think people in both camps are gonna be happy. Like with I think people are gonna be happy with this Game Dungeon. I think people are gonna be happy with the next Freeman's Mind. A lot going on in both of them, so. Yeah, again, the last Game Dungeon was just sort of one I was getting out of the way. I didn't think that one was gonna be like everyone's favorite. This one I think people are gonna like, so. I was even like, there was one part in editing, I was just kind of laughing a bit myself because it was just, it's one of those things where I wasn't planning for it, but it ended up being so nuts that like it surprised me. So, okay, a few other announcements. I'm gonna try, then after these two, which they're gonna happen this month. Well, okay, I'll be done completely on my end for Freeman's Mind this month. If the guy helping me with sound effects needs longer, he needs longer, I'll go to the next Freeman's Mind. So, but I'll announce that completely. Because I can't promise times whenever more than one person's involved. For sure, the next Game Dungeon's coming out this month. I think within under a week. So that may end up happening before Freeman's Mind, but Freeman's Mind's 100% next in line. After I'm done with those two things, I'm going to attempt finally to switch to Windows 10, which is a big ordeal for me because I have this gigantic checklist I'm forming of at first just to kind of keep it under control, but also like all the software I use, saving configuration settings. I have, for example, like in when I edit audio, there's this FFT filter setting I use to filter out like a puff sound like into the mic. I think they're called plosives. I want to save it's the custom one I made. I have to save that. There's just 100 different little things like that. And so that when I install it, I'm going to put all these settings that document it, that make a disk image so that if I screw up and have to revert, then I've saved myself several hours of work. But yeah, if anybody wants to give some last minute advice, I am going to be installing the program. Was it Shut Up 10? O&O Shut Up 10. That'll kind of clamp down from it screwing things up. Oh yeah, people are talking about the GUI thing. Yeah, that's going to be a pain. I'm going to have to be abandoning Lightstep and finding some substitutes for that. Or, well, I'm doing that in phases, because if I had to wait till it's just the way I want it, it's going to be months. So I'm kind of willing to compromise on different areas and then sort of move up after I've made the migration to that. Oh yeah, that was one question. For Windows 10 people. Here, let me pull that up. Yeah, I haven't messed with this. I read was it MSMG Toolkit that lets you remove a lot of the bloatware on it. Do people recommend that or something else? Like, because I think I'm almost at the point, I mean, this could change, where I'm not sure anything I do requires an app, as opposed to just a regular Windows executable, but, apps specifically designed for the newer Metro interface. So, but yeah, also, thankfully, one person took me up on my bounty last time of like trying to design a skin for Windows blinds. So we're slowly working on that. I'm going to come up with just a theme I don't hate for Windows blinds, so I can at least get it looking nicer as opposed to just that flat black or white look. I hate that. So. Yeah, somebody's saying VR demands your pledge to Windows 10. I'm amazed I was able to do this. I figured out how to install Windows Mixed Reality without connecting to the internet from a fresh install. That took me a while to figure that one out. Like the official instructions from Windows, I can't tell if it's incompetence or actual maliciousness. They're correct, but then they leave out a critical step that you have to have, like files that they don't provide. So they're giving you. So I'm wondering if that's like a plausible deniability to just get everybody to connect. But yeah, that automatically puts them way ahead of Oculus. If I can install mixed reality without connecting to the internet. Oh, they make it hard, but it's possible. But yeah, so. But I'm not even going to touch that until both Freeman's Mind and the Game Dungeon are out. Like, so, I want to do that in between videos. Which is, so, don't worry. This will not hold up those two coming up. And then I'm also going to make a disk image of my system before I go through the process, just in case everything goes to hell. So I have like multiple... I may have mentioned this before, but I was telling my wife, this reminded me of something I read in Warhammer 40K where, the unorthodox inquisitors might summon a demon to do their bidding. And the thing is, there's different layers of it. And the more... It's like the stronger the binding, it's like if you do it like triple binding, like all these protections and runes and everything, then it's safer, but the demon's less powerful and can't do as much. But, if you only bind it twice, then the demon's more powerful. If you only bind it once, it's most powerful, but it's like you got to get that just right or it's just going to break loose and kill everybody. That's really how I feel about Windows 10. See, like the safer option... the triple binding would be like running it in a virtual machine. But I need more power than that. So this is going to... I'm loosening the bindings a little bit. So I'm having all these backup plans in case Windows 10 breaks free and wrecks something. So yeah. What? Okay, so yeah, other announcements. So yeah, I'm going to attempt that. I'm not going to have my dream GUI right out the gate, but I want like a minimum standard. Like I may be trying to learn Rainmeter between now and then, because that'll help for some of what I use for Lightstep. I have found no real replacement for what I was using. I haven't found anything even close. like I wanted more flexibility for like the start menu and than what I had in Lightstep. I didn't think Lightstep was like the end all be all of that. It had problems. I've only found less. So I think like Classic Shell might, I don't like it, but it might be the best compromise I have for the start menu. However, I have ideas for that later that might show up in the GUI follow-up. Oh yeah, somebody's saying I have to finish the movie. That ties right into my next announcement. I hope this is a very big deal. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. NVIDIA has announced machinima tools that are coming out. However, they've really been sketchy on details. So, yeah, somebody's saying Classic Shell is a starter GUI for Windows 10. Well, it's really just a replacement for the start menu, but I went through just maybe a dozen different start menu replacements. I found nothing as flexible as what I'm looking for. Like, not even close. For the taskbar and the system tray, WinStep Nexus is about the best game in town. It actually has extra functionality that almost was it's like was 98% of what I wanted, where wow, this could almost be like just what I'm looking for, but then they had a couple things that wouldn't let me do. So it's like but so it's gonna be some Frankenstein combination of Rainmeter, WinStep Nexus, and well, yeah, I guess Classic Shell, whatever. But then I'll also be learning the mouse gestures as I go. I'm not gonna have that good to go by the time I switch. I'm still figuring out like what works best. But I have other ideas. Maybe I can get custom software going for. So, yeah, but okay. So yeah, NVIDIA announced machinima tools. And some of this is just related to being able to rip assets out of games, which, I mean, that's helpful. I plan to be doing that with The Witcher as it is for the movie. But here's where I read through the promo. There's way too many questions right now for me to determine how helpful this is going to be. One thing I am pretty sure is it sounds like they're going to have great lip syncing capabilities based off of AI, where if you just feed them the voice files, then they'll come up with pretty great lip sync that you can export. So that might be really helpful for most scenes. Like if a character needs to shout angrily or look terrified, then that might not be so helpful. But if it's just a normal conversation, yeah, that could be a great shortcut. But yeah, I saw their promo video and they're talking about ray tracing, and I don't care about that. Like I'm already aiming for a lower standard. You know, visually, I'd say it's going to be less cartoonish, but probably closer to one of those World of Warcraft machinimas as far as like the visual fidelity, something along there. Yeah, less cartoonish art direction, but you know, that level of lighting and fidelity. So, you know, there's no confusion. It's a game. But they showed this, yeah, who's ray tracing? They showed this video, and the graphics look fine. They look like something out of Assassin's Creed or some desert fortress. And then they show this character talking, and it's just like these glazed eyes, and then kind of going like this. I'm thinking, this is the exact problem. Like, this is the exact opposite of what I want. Like, what I want is not worrying so much about highest end fidelity, but more natural looking faces, you know, with the animation. So we'll see. I don't know if it's going to require an RTX card, which, I mean, those are kind of pricey. I was hoping to hold off as long as I possibly could for buying a new video card. The what? But however, if it really solves some big problems for animation, especially facial animation or body animation, and just made it a lot faster, I would spend the money on it. They would twist my arm, because that would be too big a deal for me personally, that it could accelerate the movie production. But yeah, what I'm thinking is maybe since lip sync was a little bit of a sore point in the facial capture experiments we did, it could be we could just use the NVIDIA stuff for lip sync, for most scenes for lip syncing, and then just capture expressions as like I'm listening along and just like, oh, well, and then merge the two together in software where the lip sync software takes priority over the lip bones, the animation. Yeah, I think they are called bones. The internal parts that animate the mouth, and then just take the motion capture for the rest of the face. Maybe it won't look too freakish. We'll see. But see, that's the magic of being able to lower your fidelity. If the model looks like it came out from a game in 2005 or something, well then those little imperfections may not look like a big deal. You just sort of watch it and not think about it and get into it. Whereas if it's photorealistic or close to it faces, then it sticks out like a sore thumb. So yeah, so that's coming in October. They had a page where you could apply for the beta. I clicked on it. It didn't work. So I tried again the next day. It still didn't work. So I guess I'm not going to be getting in on the beta. But yeah, I think they're releasing it to the public on, I think around October. So we'll see. Fingers crossed that'll help. Yeah, I'll answer more questions at the end. They're saying, can you revisit gaming as a service? Well, it's going to get a follow-up video, but I'm looking less at games that are doing it right or not doing it well. I'm just I'm going more for the practice. Like, how can we stop this? And like focusing on the legal angle of it. Well, or just how to. Any road that gets us to stopping this. That's the part I care about. Not every little detail, but it's like, do you care about NVIDIA's NV codec? I'd have to do more testing with it. I think I've used that for some videos, like where, again, if I'm not too concerned about the color, then yeah, or like GPU encodings, I found it's helpful most for for stuff where I might be struggling to keep a steady frame rate, and it's going to have less of a punch to the system resources than doing CPU encoding. But what I found is you need more data to get the quality as high. But well, that's a subtle thing. I'd have to do more experiments on. Okay, so yeah, more announcements. But yeah, I'm. Yeah. So the number of things I do not know about this NVIDIA Machinima software. Will it help? Will it help with just general facial capture, or if not capture, like, can I tell it like, oh, I want the guy looking scared, I want the guy looking angry, I want them like suspicious. Will it help with any of that, or is it just like lip sync stuff? Or yeah, will it help with eyes? Because my first thought in seeing that video was the Deus Ex Invisible War characters, where they're all just like, well, I don't know about that. Like, if every character has those glazed eyes, that's just not gonna help for the movie. I'd rather go lower fidelity than have something that looks like that. The second question is, will the animation stuff require an RTX cards because it uses AI, like those tensor cores, I think it's called. So that's the second question. That wasn't 100% clear to me. Third question, oh yeah, somebody said it depends on the cloud, which would be unfortunate because I don't like any tools I really need depending on the cloud. However, even if it was a complete flop, it would last long enough for me to get the movie made. So I'd be willing to kind of make a devil's bargain with cloud-based stuff because it's just launching. They'll keep it around for a couple years. So that's all I need to get the movie made. So, and then I could reassess afterwards. Because, NVIDIA got rid of, Vision 3D, they're stereoscopic drivers. They just got rid of them. I mean, you can get the old drivers, but the newer cards aren't going to support that. So, it's, but to their credit, that lasted a long time. I mean, I still think it's ridiculous they don't separate that. or try to open source that element. I mean, it's maybe too intertwined, but it's like, geez, that's. I mean, I don't know. We're getting into drivers, so I don't know. That could get really complex, but to me, the responsible thing to do would be just stop supporting it, but have a way to run that on modern cards. You know, or like like don't support it for individual games, but because I would say open source it, but I don't know how much that's tied to their drivers. But you know, I've always had this theory with like both AMD and NVIDIA, but I think especially NVIDIA, if there was just a leak tomorrow of their drivers, like it was just completely open source, there might be stuff that's like full of lawsuit material. Like in the old days, I remember when it was ATI, like both companies have done stuff like this. I think there was a famous one for ATI where if you rename the executable of your game to Quake 3, it would lower the settings and the frame rate would be higher. Like if you just rename the executable of it, because they were goosing the benchmarks. And then I think there was one for NVIDIA where it was for a while it was confirmed that if you hit print screen, it would temporarily boost the image quality settings for that screenshot output. So like while you're running it real time, like it would be a lower quality, but if you're taking a screenshot, it's going to boost the quality so that it looks like that. And there were accusations a few years back from AMD about NVIDIA where they were just abusing the hell out of tessellation, where it was slowing the game down a lot, but it would slow AMD down more. And like there was I forget the numbers, but it was something like, let's say the scene has like a couple 100,000 polygons. Well, they would make the cape of Batman, I think it was like in Arkham Knight or something, have millions. Like past the point where even if you're running this at 4K, it would still be indistinguishable. Like between cutting back a million or so polygons on it. Or there was one like, I think it was like the fur on the dog in Call of Duty Ghost. It would just make it plummet. And apparently there were like all of these like NVIDIA sponsored games. They were doing these tricks that would just straight up slow the games down with, sometimes there would be a little bit better visual fidelity, but then they would push it way past that where there's just no advantage. However, it would slow the game down, but it would slow AMD down more. And that was the whole goal. So your game's 30% slower than it would have been if NVIDIA wasn't touching it and looking about the same, but it might be 60% slower in an AMD card. So that's what, I get the feeling there might be all these relics in the drivers for open source stuff that if people saw them like, oh yeah, you could have had a lawsuit against this, or I don't know. I bet there's, somebody's saying both NVIDIA and ATI did it back in the day. Yeah, it got really shady back in the day, but I think there's still some of that going on. But somebody's saying Intel slows down AMD CPUs in the libraries. Yeah, I heard something, different, not about that, but Intel, part of the reason, like, geez, I forgot the details, but apparently there's all sorts of like deep learning stuff or like research level computer things. Yeah, I'm getting way off topic already. Research level stuff for computers that Intel was like that could really use like lots of bandwidth from the PCI Express bus. And so that's why Intel has always been like kind of stingy about how many lanes they're giving, because if they open that up, then it made them like less relevant. And that might be why NVIDIA is working with ARM or maybe trying to buy them out, is because it's a different market share where, it was a good article I saw or a video, I forget where it was, but it's like they were really making the case that Intel was like trying to hold back how much bandwidth you have on the PCI Express bus, because it was kind of forcing a larger market share to come to them. Whereas if they open that up, then they make them less relevant. So yeah, somebody's saying Intel was afraid of GPUs making CPUs less relevant. Yeah, it was definitely related to that. It was definitely for like research level stuff that they were working with. Yeah, we haven't even got to the first chat question. Sorry about that. Okay, just a couple more announcements quick. So yeah, fingers crossed on NVIDIA machinima tools. Just whatever gets me to the finish line with the movie. Yeah, I for sure this isn't going to happen until the videos are done, but I feel like I need to do it at some point. We're getting into fall territory enough. It's still pretty warm here, but that I feel like the next streaming I do, I think, has to be Dark Souls. So I'll announce that on the website and on Twitter, like probably a week in advance before I do that. Maybe I'll get to it this month. If I don't, I figure I have to next month, at least start it. I don't know which is the best version to, I am fortunate. People have gifted me not only like the modern version of Dark Souls, but someone also gifted me the Legacy Prepare to Die edition. So you can let me know which version I should run, or if there's some like must-have mods to play. Like I know another game, I still need to play it. Oh my God, how am I forgetting the name of this? Oh, it was some mystery. Okay, well, there's this other game that was ported to PC that it's like mods are pretty much like a must-have coming from the console. Deadly Premonitions, that's what I'm thinking of. I still need to play that, but everything I've read says if you're playing this on PC, there's like these must-have mods. So yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'll get to that. And I guess the final thing is, I said last time I was gonna announce game ideas I had. Unfortunately, I didn't think of as many as I meant to, mostly because I got distracted with other things. I was thinking way more about the GUI actually. But one idea I did have, it's still kind of nebulous. Let me turn off fan. That what I was thinking, I really liked how like the concept. I've seen this mostly just in illustrations, but I was getting a little bit of that feel in Veil of Darkness. I like the idea of like this kind of a forest of mystery game. And I was thinking today actually that, I feel like, unless I'm forgetting a game, I feel like I've seen way more impressive forest in reality than I have in games. I'm thinking it shouldn't be that way, because in games you can do anything. I would want to have like this real kind of almost like sort of this burrowing game where you're just going deeper in the forest, but make it a fantasy forest, like exaggerate things. Make every path just like this, have this kind of own personality and feel to it. But then you can have all these mysteries or things you run into. Like I was thinking, it wouldn't really be the same thing, but I was thinking like pacing wise, like with Subnautica, you start off in like sort of friendlier waters, and you don't get into like the real scary stuff until later, like where you get deeper. And I would kind of want it like that, where you could explore and find all these kinds of neat things. Well, I guess a lot of MMOs do that too. Like the big evil areas are far out where the real dangerous bosses and enemies are, but like the surrounding lands are more friendly and have like, I would want it kind of like that, like. And you could have all kind. If it's a fantasy game, you could have all kinds of things in it. Like maybe you do discover like this pristine Victorian era Gothic mansion with its own little hedge maze, or another. Like one game that gave me this feel of this a little bit was, I think, King's Quest V, but that was just like a few screenshots. But I would want more like exaggerated fantasy forest. And see, it's not just about making. See, somebody's talking about, somebody mentioned it's hard to make a forest look good. Yeah, it is. Yes and no. Because, yeah, the forest, it's like one of the most demanding things you could have as far as details. However, I'm not really talking about the photorealism here. I mean, what I'm talking about, you could even have in like Doom or Quake level graphics. It's more about art, like just being kind of wow. Okay, I take that back. I saw hints of this in the mod, was it Nerim for Oblivion? I remember that forest had hints of like, yeah, Alan Wake had a little bit going for it with the forest. It's so dark, it was hard to tell, but it had more of that like you want parts to feel kind of imposing, like it's its own little world. Have like kind of mountains and these gullies and gorges and stuff, and then the trees just exploding in some area. Others, it's more sparse, but the sunlight comes in, and it just feels like its own little reality in parts of the forest. And I've seen a little bit of this in racing games, but I've never seen one that is just far and away is like the winner. Okay, somebody's saying the game Valley. This sounds familiar. Valley game screenshots. I've never seen one that just... Do I know this one? Valley. I feel like this must be on my list. Okay, yeah, maybe I need to check out Valley then. I might even have a copy of this one. I'm not sure. I think this was on my list. So yeah, maybe I need to check that out then. Yeah, maybe I'm not playing the games with the right for. Oh, you know what? I still need to play. Well, I think it was The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Is that the one I'm thinking of? It was on my games most anticipated list earlier. So, but yeah. So, and then you could kind of yeah. I like the idea. Like I like the idea of like really being able to get lost too. Like in fact, if you wanted, because it's fantasy themed, you could actually subvert like trying to do map making by having like areas that basically having impossible geometry where they kind of like loop back in on themselves, but then that's a different area if you take this trail and go to that. So I like the idea of I would if I had limited resources, wanted to make a game, I like the idea of coming up with like an interesting kind of fantasy plot for it too, that it gets more mysterious, maybe more sinister the deeper you go, but it would have all kinds of stuff on the way to that. Yeah, like one concept I liked that ended up being bad was I heard, was it in No Man's Sky? They were like hyping up like, oh, what happens if you get to the center? Well, I like that concept, except that apparently all it does is just kick you back to the outside. Like, well, no, you need to have like a dimension portal to another dimension, or just unfathomable secrets or something in there. So, but yeah, this is more about like art direction. Like you can, because you can just have like a textured wall to kind of represent some polygonal trees, but they could reach up really high, or have moss hanging everywhere, or just have like really more exotic plants in one area. You can really. I haven't been impressed, but yeah, that's the claim is I've seen more Fantastic Forests in real life than I have in games. And I don't think there's an excuse for that. And again, I'm not talking about fidelity. I'm just talking about you go in and you're just like, wow, look at this world. Like there's stuff that really makes you feel like you're in another world. And then tie some RPG mechanics in there, just kind of encourage exploration, that sort of thing. So, okay, so yeah, now we'll get to the actual, that's all I had for announcements. Well, actually, there's another announcement, but it's for the end specifically. So I should hurry up and get through some questions. Okay. Yeah, I spent over half an hour not even answering questions yet. Oh yeah, well, okay, this ties in with it a little bit. First question, Mandalore Gaming. Yeah, I watched part of the episode. A bunch of people told me about this. He said he picked me as his strange island with the mutant cannibal tribe surviving partner. How do you see yourself in that scenario? Yeah, I gave a reply to him, and he was, it was a couple days late, but yeah, he said that, he didn't trust other people to set up a warship system for them. And I replied to that saying, see, that's already not how I would handle this. And yeah, if you want a movie recommendation, my first thought of that was what he mentioned, that was the movie The Man Who Would Be King. It has Michael Caine, Sean Connery. Yeah, it's based on a Rudyard Kipling short story. But that's also about two guys going into an undiscovered land where the indigenous people end up worshiping them as deities. So, I won't spoil it. I won't. It's a great movie. Uh, so, but yeah, my first thought is it would be hard because that would not be a fun survival scenario because the tribal cannibals, they're going to be able to track you. You're not really going to be able to hide from them. I wouldn't think, because they're going to have spent their whole lives tracking. So they're going to see all kinds of signs that people like us don't see. So your kind of only options are defense and offense. So we'd probably have to sleep in shifts and just make a fortress. I was almost like thinking of like constructing something like a hobbit hole fortress where we kind of dig into the side of a hillside and just have a gate that gets like, it's just almost impossible to get in there with any reasonable length of time. But even then, that's going to take time to dig all that out. So you're going to have these. Yeah, I guess the question is, are you operating under game rules or reality rules? Because you can do stuff in the game that you're not going to do in reality or any remotely reasonable time. And yeah, it might make sense to be more nomadic at first. Yeah. In fact, you probably would want to be nomadic initially, but spend time each day building up a fortress area, but you don't stay there because that's where you're eventually going to end up, but it's too compromised to stay there. So at least you're going to kind of slow them down from coming after you. But yeah, and then you have to worry about fresh water on top of that. Food wouldn't be too bad. It seemed like a pretty lush forest from what I was seeing with game and everything. But yeah, I mean, I played some of the forest. It was too much crafting for my taste, but I kind of explored around there. Yeah, see, I wasn't blown away by the forest for the forest game. I mean, the lighting was kind of weird in that they were going for this kind of harsh angle. I'm surprised they didn't tweak that some more. But yeah, it would be hard. It's not a guaranteed survival scenario by any means. Somebody's saying the rule of threes, Ross. I don't know the rule of threes. So I guess that's a bad sign. Let's see. Okay, so somebody's mentioning Andariel mod for Skyrim. Yeah, I think that's like the sequel or by the same people who did Nerim for Oblivion. So maybe I should check that out. But yeah, I wouldn't look forward to it though. Yeah, I guess it was a compliment of his saying like I struck him as a survivor. Well, I definitely have a survivor mentality. I like the idea of living, so I'm surprised that's as I'm surprised that's uncommon. That's a trait that's not considered common. So I guess that's my feelings about that. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving forward since I ate up so much time. In the Go to Hell episode, you mentioned Metal Dave's taste in music was more on the white noise spectrum, whereas you listen to metal that had more of a tune. I was always curious what bands you listen to as a reference to that statement. Well, I mentioned some in the Life is Strange episode. However, okay, I have a sort of answer for you that I think people will be satisfied with. See, I'm way behind on catching up on a lot of music. I think it was last year, I went and finally caught up on watching all the Beavis and Butthead episodes since I hadn't seen them all before. I'd only seen them in like glimpses of being over at somebody else's house who had cable. And when I went through them, every time they had a music video that I liked, hey, this band sounds pretty good. Like, I want to check out more music from them. I kept notes. So not all of these are going to be heavy metal, but I'll read off everything I wrote down. I mean, this actually ended up getting kind of long. So however, I would put like a little tilde next to ones I wasn't completely sure of. So these should be the ones that just like seem to quite clearly make the cut. So this is all going to be like 90s or earlier bands, but these are all ones where I saw the video like, yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing more of this. So, okay, these are all like the less common ones because, you know, we have like, you know, Metallica, Pantera, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue. Okay, so here's like the less common ones. I'll just go through it. Suicidal Tendencies. Yeah, I recommend the song, what was it? It's either called Give Me Your Money, Send Me Your Money, or something like that. That one is great. Like music, it's funny, and musically, it's just great. Okay, more of them. Yeah, these aren't going to all be metal, but they all had at least one song I was liking. Concrete Blonde, The Cult, Biohazard, L7, Helmet, Cycle Sluts from Hell, Corrosion of Conformity, DRI, Babes in Toyland, Grim Reaper, Gruntruck. I just have Vince Neil here. Let's see. The Shaman, you know, MEN, Ministry, Ugly Kid Joe, Circus of Power, Daisy Chainsaw, Skate Nigs, Skid Row, Prong. Let's see. Okay, well, there's a Motorhead was on. That's a common one. Crowbar, Eve's Plumlow Pop Suicide, Green Apple Quickstep, Shonen Knife, SHONEN, you know, knife. Mother's Day Out, Mother, MUTHA, you know. Sweaty Nipples, Sullen Waves. Let's see. Napalm Death. Yeah, you can kind of tell which ones are probably metal from some of the names. Some of these. Let's see. This one might be listed twice. Crowbar, Godspeed, Dandelion, Entombed, Dog Eat Dog, Varga, Exodus, 7 Year Bitch, Nude Swirl, Helmet, Carcass, Dink, Sick of It All, Monster Magnet, Elastica, Cinderella, Hole, let's see, and Screw, SKREW. So, somebody's saying War is Gwar. I knew Gwar. I didn't need to write down Gwar. So yeah, all those bands had something I liked. So that's the best thing. See, I knew even then I didn't have time to go through and check all this out, but I had time to write down notes. So I'm going to go through them all eventually and just see see everything I like. So, okay, somebody's saying I said Helmet twice. Okay, yeah, some of these. Well, what that means is they have more than one video, and I forgot that I'd written it down twice. So it means they were probably on Beavis and Butthead at least twice then. So yeah, okay, so yeah, I think that's that's not all metal. Some of it just were bands that I like the sound of. So yeah, I think that's a satisfactory answer there. And you can tell this is all dated too. So I need to catch up on the list from Life is Strange, you know. So okay, so let's see. You talk a lot about the end of the world. Do you have any actual preparations in case some type of apocalypse happens? Well, not okay. Yes and no. I mean, the thing is to be like really prepared for a whole variety of scenarios. You kind of either need to have a certain amount of resources to begin with, like, you know, your own property and like an occupation that, you know, affords you kind of living like in a more sustainable area, or just being a farmer, that sort of thing. Or just like that's your entire hobby. You know, maybe you have your regular job and then just like everything else is just spent doing survival stuff. And unfortunately, I'm not in there. I mean, I'm doing. The other thing is, I'm probably not prepared well for just some sort of like total apocalypse. However, I think the most likely thing we're facing is just sort of a Great Depression that just keeps getting worse, you know, on like a slope. Sometimes the slope will go faster, sometimes it doesn't. So that's not a complete collapse of society. It's just increasingly hard times. For that, I mean, I've kind of, ever since the pandemic started, I mean, I'm kind of slowly trying to stockpile more just non-perishable food, like we have a lot of pasta and rice backed up and some canned vegetables, that sort of thing. Well, it'd be nice to probably have a few weeks worth. I should probably get some more. We have some water too, although actually I've been wanting to look into a water filter so I can start taking tap. Let's see. I mean, it's just I'm still basically I'm still betting on society lasting right now. So I don't, there's some things that can always happen that can change that, but that doesn't seem like high on the probability list for me. What? I guess the other thing is, this isn't, well, I guess I should mention this. I'm in sort of a unique position that probably one of the strongest things I have going for me personally is you guys. See, if I was in big trouble, I am not too proud to just do an SOS on one of these videos or on the YouTube channel. And so it's the sort of thing where, hey, maybe somebody really does have some sort of farm going on. They wouldn't mind an extra hand, and they know I'll work hard, and they have an idea of my personality from the videos. It's like, okay, sure, here, come here, but be prepared to help with the farm, or something like that. So I wouldn't be above putting out an SOS, but obviously most people don't have that option. However, I was only half joking on the Intentional Communities website, so for everybody who may not have a lot of people to reach out to, spend some time. Look, before I guess I got bigger with the videos, I was like kind of half leaning towards that. Not necessarily, I guess a little bit, because I thought at some point things are going to be less and less stable, but also because the jobs I thought I had that were an option for me, doing 9 to 5, well, it's not even 9 to 5, it's probably a lot more now, work, but just doing like a regimented work thing of a job that you don't really like, it just starts chipping away after me after a while. Whereas I'm a lot better with stuff like, well, we need to get this done, and you just kind of work the hours until it's done, or that sort of thing. Or you can get up half an hour later if you need to, or have a more flexible work schedule. And like, I don't know, like it was some jobs. It's weird. Like some jobs will like really start getting to me, and the stuff I felt like was going to be available wasn't as much of an option. But so don't despair if you're not in a position to be able to reach out to a bunch of people. I mean, I'm very happy I am in that position, but that would be my follow-up is, part of the people who might respond might have already had their own little community set up, because the thing is, a smaller community of people can respond, especially if they're anticipating problems, can respond just infinitely more rapidly to many types of crises than just like a macro level, like a state or a country, where maybe they can, maybe they can't, and the more precarious things get, like, community stuff is always going to win out in almost any sort of disaster scenario. I forget where this comes from, but I saw a quote before that says, like, the best place to store food is in your neighbor's stomach. That really sums up like the kind of attitude, this is how humanity has gotten as far as it has, by cooperating and being in groups where, it's not every man for himself. And that, maybe some person has pretty poor survival traits, but hey, they're great at gardening or farming, or, or somebody else is great at building things, So you kind of play to everybody's different strengths. yeah, I mean that's kind of what's allowed humanity to get as far as it can. And you know, now if in the absence of something like that, then yeah, having your own little you know, self-sustainable little fortress out in the country somewhere, that'll buy you a lot of time and might help you ride through a lot of like smaller disasters. So I'm not trying to knock that either, but you know, that again, that's not an option for most people. So, okay, so I think that's a good answer. Should keep moving here. Let's see. Ross, in the Help Make Freeman's Mind HD video, you said send me anything, referring to alternatives to donating cash. Has anything happened or you received anything from anyone that has caused you to regret saying this? Well, no, not regret it. I got some good. Well, I don't know if it's a regret. I got some weird cryptocurrency. I have, was it Dogecoin, Doggy however supposed to pronounce it. I have some of that. But the biggest one I think of is the computer parts. I'd say half my system for a while has been through fan donations. I mean, I think all my hard drives are mine. But when I made that video, somebody sent me a couple older SSDs, which I think I'm still using. There were two 160 gigabyte SSDs, which are fine for system drives. You know, I mean, the OS doesn't need more than that as long as you're not installing big programs to C, install it to another drive. They're fine. They still work since I made that video. My motherboard's a fan donation. My CPU's a fan donation. The memory's a mix. Like it varied. I had some people send me memory, which is nice, but then I wasn't able to use it in my main system because I made a tactical error that the heatsink, the risers on it were so tall that they wouldn't fit in with the cooler I have on my CPU. Power supply I still bought. Case I bought. Video cards, fan donation. So, yeah, I've been happy. You know, it reminds me of in Dungeon Siege, where when you came into town and you bought the new stuff, you would give all your old stuff to like the characters that weren't as leveled along. So I feel like I'm like second in line as one like as a Dungeon Siege character. You know, we're like, oh, okay, I got the stuff this guy was using. Great, you know. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm not good at keeping up with the chat necessarily. I just glance over. I read good to start fires. So chat's going its own direction a little bit. Yeah, I have had offers for other smaller things, but I have to be, well, it's better here because I have more space, but in the past, I had to be a little more discerning what people sent me just because I had too much stuff as it was and having to move frequently. But here we actually have like a closet we can keep things in. So that's helpful. And there's, yeah, like we can keep some stuff under the steps. There's room for that. So I can maybe accept more things. But having to move so much, I tend to get like, I tend to have to turn down some stuff that I'm thinking, well, might be interesting, but I'm not like super interested in this. And then it costs shipping and, you know, so I tend to turn down more things. But yeah, no, it's been great. I mean, I'm glad I made that video. Yeah, and I'm also glad I made the Begathon video, and I hope I never have to make another one like that. So far, so good, you know? It's like I said, it's when I made that video, I really was trying to future-proof it. And that's why I made that statement, how like the one person I hope donated was like the people, you know, who are spending hundreds of dollars each month, not even keeping track of what they're spending it on, not even using it. So yeah, be sure to hit that like renewing the monthly donation option, the renewing one, you know. That was the one type of donor that I was hoping to kind of snare with that video. Everything else was just me pressing my luck. And I'm a little bit behind on saying thank yous to everybody, but thanks again to everybody who has said something. I really appreciate it. I constantly feel like, you know, if this was, you know, a Fallout game, you know, I put in like at least like 8 points on luck, you know, maybe higher. So, let's see. Previously mentioned not owning a smartphone. Is this simply a practical matter of saving money, or do you have another reason for avoiding their use? Oh, I just didn't care. So it was, actually, I have gotten another hand-me-down smartphone that I need to switch out the SIM card to and set up. I've just been kind of too lazy to get around to it. I just never really cared about smartphones. Like, well, by the time smartphones came around, I mean, I guess, okay, if you're not out and about, what does a smartphone do that you can't do on the computer? I mean, yeah, obviously if you're going out and doing stuff related to the GPS or something, yeah, or taking photos out there. But if you're just, I mean, I don't know of much, so I just kept using my computer, I think I mentioned before when I first came here, Magda was making fun of me for how awful I was at texting, and then later she saw me type and she's like, "You're fast," because it's, there's people a lot faster than I am, but compared to her, yeah, my wife, she's the fastest hunt and peck typer I've seen. So, like, have you ever seen the movie Seven? Like Morgan Freeman's there typing like this, that's kind of how my wife is, but she's relatively fast like that. I mean, you can see me typing in the GUI video. That's me. Yeah. In case you're wondering what I was typing, I was just trying to think of something. I'm typing out the lyrics to Amish Paradise in that video. If you're wondering what I was typing in that demonstration video. So, let's see. Yeah, by Weird Al. So yeah, I mean, some technology I'm really interested in, like VR. Man, that's going to come up again in the future. Oh yeah, that's what I meant to say like an hour ago. After I move to Windows 10, most likely, after the two videos, probably next is going to be my Dream software video, and then I'm going to prioritize Freeman's Mind as much as I possibly can, and still I have to get a Halloween video made, and there's one video I really wanted to get out another game dungeon. I really wanted to get out, but I'll try to prioritize Freeman's Mind as much as I possibly can after that. But I know it's gotten horrendously delayed, but it's coming, I swear. Okay. In your videos, you mentioned a site called Game Copy World where you go to remove DRM from the games you own. As far as I saw, there are only trainers and cheats for games. But it's a lot of ads, so it's impossible to click anything. Yeah, well, you might want to have shields up going to that site. But they do have a lot of game trainers also there. But yeah, no, that's the best repository for like a crack to the game, as in there's no piracy there. So you cannot download a working copy of the game, for free. However, if you own the game, you can download, for a whole lot of them, you can download a crack and run that, and then you can run the game without having the DRM checks, so it's almost a necessary thing. Yeah, and somebody's saying go to CrackWatch to see the status of game cracks. I have not been impressed with that site. I've seen so many false positives. You go there now, they say Vermintide 1 and 2 is a crack for it. Like, I think, look, I have copies of both of those games. I do not know how to run that game offline. So let's say I downloaded that game, both of them. I downloaded the game, I installed everything, and then now let's disconnect your internet. How do you run the game? I don't think you can. I mean, I kept seeing this circulate around. Oh, you can play offline. I think what they meant is you can play bots, but it's still online. I'm not sure either of those games have been cracked. So I'm saying it's technically cracked, but not usable. Well, so they remove the copy protection, but they can't run the game, or I mean, I don't know. It's So I'm saying there's no point to playing the Vermintide single player. Well, that's That's the only way I've played them, actually. So I'm sure. So that would be my counterpoint. It's not the best game single player, but it's interesting, you know. What are there's some other games they have false positives for. Geez, I bet if you gave me like 20 minutes, I could find like over a dozen false positives on there that they say it's cracked, but no, it's not. Oh yeah, they did. I think they did have the crew, but that finally got corrected. It's like you can't run. Darkspore. You go to game right now. They might update it since I'm making this video, but you go to Crackwatch. They report Darkspore as cracked. So, no, it's not. You know. Yeah, but okay. So you should keep moving. Let's see. Oh yeah, you mentioned last month you could write down your recent books, films, and other media you've enjoyed since last time. And I completely forgot to write down anything. However, I remember some. I didn't watch as much this month. Actually, I played more games this one. There's kind of two main. Okay, no, I played. I can't remember if it was last month or the month before. I played through. Okay, well, for movies. I didn't see anything that I thought was like, oh, this is just great. I saw a few I thought were okay. Some older movies, like, and I wanted hot weather stuff, so stuff in like the jungle or the desert or something. I watched Inferno. It's from the '50s, not the Tom Hanks one, the newer one. I've seen that. This is one from the '50s about this guy stranded out in the desert. It was okay. However, one thing I thought was amazing, that is one of the best fight scenes I've seen in a movie. Not because like it's the most stylish or anything or prowess in martial arts, just because it looks like one of the most dangerous for the actors fight scene I've seen. Like they're in this cabin at the end throwing punches and like they crash into this stove and like, yep, that stove has fire in it. There's coals. There's no special effects going on there. I mean, this is the 50s, you know, you could probably spot the special effects. I think I get the feeling they just had the actors go at it. I mean, it's like, geez, what? Stuff. The book Lord Jim, it was all right, which might sound like blasphemy since it's a classic story, but what else did I watch? I saw the movie Shallow Grave. That was okay. It has Ewan McGregor in it. It's sort of like a body cover-up movie. Let's see. For games, like it might have been the month before. I forgot. I've been kind of a zombie binge lately. I think because of the pandemic. I played the first Dead Rising. I didn't finish it. It got pretty hard. And I'll admit, it got tough and kind of tedious too for parts of it. I really liked it thematically though. It was, I thought they really kind of nailed the zombie feel to it, but it just, actually what killed it for me were the humans. Because I got to the point where, like these inmates and I got past this, a little bit past this too. There's inmates in this Jeep, they're driving around, and then I had saved my guns for them to shoot them, and I counted, I think I had to shoot them each, like, it was at least 10 times in the head. It might have been 15 though. Like I was counting, so just like bam, 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 and like, it's just like, geez, this isn't bringing me into the game, you know? Yeah, so I say, well, yeah, the music there is great for that part. Like, I forget the name of that track for when you get to the inmates. I got farther, and I could see this game wasn't going to get any. I think I finally gave up when I got to this, who is it? This she's like the sister of one of the antagonists, and she's on a motorcycle, and you have to shoot her off. I got a ways into it, but it just kept getting harder and harder. And so I say the song is "Gone Guru" by Lifeseeker. Yeah, if that's the one I'm thinking of. It's a pretty tight track. It was great. In fact, I saw in some comments somebody was saying they left the inmates there just so they could hear that track each time they were out in the courtyard. But no, it was fun. But I don't know. I ended up watching a playthrough of the rest of it. But yeah, I'm glad I got to play some of it. Like the writing was better than I thought it would be. Like it takes kind of a GTA parody level to things. The part one part just cracked me up towards the beginning, where you arrive at the mall, and they've kept the zombies out, but they're banging at the doors, and this one lady's just screaming, "Where's her dog?" She's just completely freaking out, and while they're barricading, she just starts ripping down the barricades because she sees her poodle outside just standing there. It's like, "No, I gotta get out, Fluffy!" And she's just complete panic mania. Just it was over the top, but I was thinking, okay, this is gonna be a fun game. Like, so yeah. I really like it thematically, but I don't know if I'm really on board with the Dead Rising series as far as gameplay. It gets really hard. And the escorting the survivors. The AI, it's not the best. Yeah, everybody loves that, escorting NPCs in a dangerous situation where the AI is not the greatest. You know who did that the best, I thought, was in Resident Evil 4, because you could tell her, okay, go hide in the dumpster though I handle things, and she'd go do it. Like, all right, good. So when you can yell at the NPC to just go hide and stay safe while you handle everything, that's good. I remember those not upsetting me there. But let's see. What was the other? Oh yeah. So what I've been playing, I still haven't beaten it. I've gotten a ways into it. This one got addictive. I had to tear myself away from it to get more work done. They Are Billions. I finally started playing that. It has a bit of a Supreme Commander vibe to it. I never played them, but I've heard they took inspiration from the Age of Empires games. I have never seen an RTS throw this many enemies at you. Like, okay, yeah, if anything, actually the beginning was almost better than like the later missions, because in the beginning you have to kind of, you have to choose which tech you're unlocking. Yeah, if I had two pieces of advice for that game, it's that, one, you should probably look up comments as to which tech you should upgrade first, because that game, you might get yourself into an unwinnable situation if you don't. And the other is, I'll straight up confess that I'm cheating with it, where the game's structured like a roguelike, where if you save in the middle of a mission, you can't just load your save later. So what I've been doing is I would save, then I would Alt-Tab out, copy the save folder over to a temp directory, go back in, and then if I got destroyed later, I'd go back and replace it and load the save. Because, I understand like wanting to do a game all in one shot or level, but if you don't know what's coming, and this is a game that's just, if you've put 2 hours into a level and then you make one small mistake and you have to start all over from that, that's a little more masochistic. So yeah, my cheat is I'm basically allowing myself to save. Yeah, somebody's saying dishonorable. Yeah, I'm allowing myself to save my game. I'd be willing to try that game. I guess knowing what I know now, I'd be willing to attempt it. No saves, even going in blind. But yeah, like once you've unlocked more technology, the game it's easier in a way, because you know how to handle different situations where you can't, some of that stuff, if you don't have the right, okay, so here's what really impressed me about the game. I did not have the right technology for dealing with this one level. I'm not even sure it's possible. Yeah, I was originally playing on challenging, but then I went to hard once I got to more technology upgrades. You can keep going though. It goes all the way up to Apocalypse. I could maybe try that. Though I get the feeling on Apocalypse, it's sort of the thing where you would have to optimize every single second of what you're doing, which isn't as fun, you know, where, okay, I need to, like, you don't waste a spare second with, so that might not be fun. But okay, so I didn't have the right technology for dealing with this massive wave that was coming at me. I really needed these shocking towers. I didn't have that. And they're sending thousands of them at you. Maybe 10, 20,000 enemies coming at you for that one map. I'm sure it gets higher even higher later. And I built these really great walls. I had just rows and rows of soldiers up in these towers blasting away at them. I probably had, like, you know, 50 to, no, maybe more. I might have had like 100 soldiers just all in these fortified walls blasting away at them. Wasn't enough. They crashed through all these stone walls, wall after wall. They just kept coming. And what I saw in that game, my computer started slowing down. You know, it started getting a little choppy. And what I saw in the game is the dynamics of it. You know how if you have something that's like, it's basically stacked as solidly as it can be, but then you keep putting pressure on it and it just starts kind of twisting and warping because it's looking for space that wasn't even there. I started seeing that effect where, like, I would see the enemies just kind of like warp like that because the pressure of them pushing against the walls was so high. It started doing this like warping effects. So it was like, you know, you usually only see this in like physics under something that, some material that's under extremely high pressure, you know, where, so I haven't beat it yet. I'm up to level 5 playing on hard, with the campaign. So, but yeah, I give it a shining recommendation though. Again, I would take no shame in cheating by, you know, doing what every other RTS lets you do, pretty much save and load your game. I mean, I'd actually be cool if the game only gave me like 2 or 3 saves per level or something like that, you know. And like, I mean, early on I was fine with like losing, oh, I made a mistake. But yeah, once you get hours into a game and then you have to start all over because you missed one little spot. Yeah, that's not really, that's not fun for me, you know? Now, if I just had the wrong strategy, fine. Like I started that one over where I just didn't have the right technology. So I'm totally cool with starting a game over because I just didn't have the right strategy. I'm fine with that. But if I had the right strategy but made one little mistake, 2 hours, maybe some of those maps may have been 3 hours. I'm not sure, but okay. So yeah, and the other game I've been playing is after I made again, I'm a ways into it. I haven't beaten it yet. When I made the last game dungeon, I wasn't kidding about wanting more Deus Ex, so I've started playing 2027, which is a total conversion for Deus Ex. It's shockingly good for just an amateur effort. Like, I'd say it's not as good as Deus Ex, but I would say it's like, if this released as an expansion to the original Deus Ex, then I would then yeah, it would absolutely, you would get your money's worth. Like, you know, it's like it has its own custom music and not as good as Deus Ex's best, but it's better than Deus Ex's worst. So it's like, it's decent. Like, the only thing that I'm kind of missing is voice acting, but you can't, I mean, I guess they couldn't do everything. So it is all text. Also, one thing that's bugging me is I can't get I'm playing at 1440 and I just can't get the HUD scaling to work well. It's either way too tiny or way too big. 'Cause there's this configuration setting to change it to this other variable, to this mod that supposedly makes it better. And so what happens is when it's too big, if they're longer sentences, they'll clip off. And when I go to the HUD, it clips off the top and the bottom. Or if it's too small, I'm just squinting even with my glasses, and it's like painful to read almost. So, but I just decided to go with too big. And then when the dialogue's too long, I just kind of check my log. And yeah, I had to set a hotkey for every single element of the HUD because I literally can't go up to the top to switch between it. But yeah, like if you're hungry for, somebody's saying to use Kenty's Deus Ex, I tried, yeah, I couldn't figure out how to launch the mod and have it work with Kenty's Deus Ex. That's how I did for the original. Like it would get to the menu and then just nothing would happen. So I don't know, there's probably a way to do that. But yeah, if you're hungry for more Deus Ex and you haven't played it, you should go play it right now. Like it'll absolutely give you the Deus Ex feel, you know. Like, of course, because it's the same game modded. However, just the level design, it has that Deus Ex feel, you know. So, and solid music, and I turned their extra graphics off. They got a little too bloom happy and tinting for my taste, so now it just looks like normal Deus Ex. So, yeah, that's the other one I've been playing. I've been enjoying it. And you know what's interesting is you have to make some real decisions in the game, and it's kind of unique. Yeah, this is what you get. This is a unique feel you get from off the beaten path games. Is there's no guide telling you what happens, you know. So if you choose this or choose that, well, you're just gonna have to find out how that plays out. So you know, a lot of games, you know, there's something telling you exactly what happens, but no, this one you have to just make decisions and see how it goes. So, yeah, and I'll probably try more of the total conversions for Deus Ex later. But man, yeah, 2027, it's solid. Okay, yeah, I should keep moving. Oh yeah, book. Okay, well, books. I haven't finished it. Also, I've been reading Caves of Steel by Isaac Asimov. It's pretty good. Again, I can tell Warhammer must have been an Asimov fan. I mean, the writers of Warhammer 40K, because this is practically like this is like a precursor to the Hive cities in this book. I like stuff that sort of describes this alternative society, and he has some interesting ideas in there. You have these kind of enclosed megacities, and they have this sort of, there's this prejudice going on between Earthborn people who are just, they're on the absolute brink of sustainability even with technology, that the cities are absolutely overflowing, and it's very precarious. Everybody gets fed. There's an alternative socioeconomic structure, and they have this prejudice against off-worlders. You know, I think they call them the spacers, where they live on colonies out there, have different value systems. I thought that was interesting. However, this part feels like it didn't quite hold up so well, where there is just this heavy prejudice in the culture against robots. And it's not just like a Luddite thing where, you know, they didn't like them because they took jobs. I mean, there's some of that too, and I understand, but no, it's just like, it's just like the entire city culture is just like, they really dislike robots. And I was thinking, I don't think it would, I could see some people being like that, but I don't think it would work out that way, you know, because like right now, if you could have a robot that could clean your apartment or, you know, do the dishes, you know, if there was something like that in the book, they'd be like, no, I would never allow, like, it's like that level of prejudice against it. It's like, well, no, that's kind of overdoing it a bit. So, yeah, not wanting them because they're a threat to job security, that I totally get, you know. But, you know, I think he takes it a little too far. But, yeah, so I think sounds like the Amish to an extent. Yeah, it's almost like, it's like if you had a city of tens of millions and they're all Amish. So, I mean, no, not with the rest of the culture. It's, it, but with the robot. But yeah, I've been enjoying that. I'm like 2/3 through it. Okay, let's see. This is a good question, but okay. What games have some of your favorite main menus or loading screens? Yeah, I meant to think about this one more, and I didn't think. Tell you what, in an upcoming game dungeon, you're gonna hear some of my favorite menu music. But let's see, favorite. Oh, okay, Forsaken. Forsaken has a very interesting menu. It's fully 3D. You know, it loads right in. Let's see, loading screens. Man, I have to. Yeah, that is kind of ridiculous. Didn't Activision used to have a patent where you couldn't have like a mini game while the game was loading? I feel like there have been some clever and neat loading screens, but I'm just forgetting them. I guess ones that give you something to read or do are always helpful. Yeah, actually, I like and dislike. Yeah, this is a modern gamer problem here, and they are billions. They have these quotes. They have these random quotes each time when you load a game, and some of them are interesting. However, because I loaded it onto an SSD, it loads too fast, so I don't always get to read them. So, yeah, that's a real modern gamer problem. You know, not that's one where you have it so good. In order to have that complaint, you have to have it so good that you have that complaint. You know. Okay, so I was saying Dungeon Siege is a pretty hardcore menu. Yeah, but that Dungeon Siege is an interesting menu. But yeah, we'll go with Forsaken. Forsaken has a pretty cool menu. Okay, I'll have to think about that more for loading screens. Oh, yeah. I guess ones that have a whole lot where you don't get tired of it. Like, I like it when games have just, it's usually more mods than games. I don't know if I've even seen this in games where I haven't played Hostile Waters Antius Rising, but though that's on my list of games to eventually check out. Where I think I've seen this for Skyrim or Oblivion mods, where you don't just have one loading screen, you have dozens. So it's going to take a while before you've seen everything. So I like that, you know. So they have different shots of the world, that sort of thing. Ross, your video. Okay, I think in like 20 minutes, I'm just going to like get more selective on the questions. Hey Ross, your video called Pigeon Hunter from 2009 was recommended by YouTube. What is the story behind this video? Is there one? Yeah, that's when I was in college, and one of the assignments was to make a fake commercial. Yeah, make a commercial for a fake show. So that was I was in Pittsburgh at the time, and yeah, that's when I made Pigeon Hunter. I got two guys I knew in the class, and they were the actors there. And I just filmed them like Pigeon Hunter, you know, kind of, I kind of gave it this twist by trying to make it seem like it's this real kind of classy show, like, you know, Masterpiece Theater or something. And instead I got them as kind of like hillbillies just running around the middle of the city hunting pigeons. And I guess the irony is that this was not part of the script at all. But we accidentally killed one of the pigeons, and it wasn't even while we were filming. It was like in between shots. I was like setting up the camera in a different place, and the bigger guy in there, he just sort of walked backwards and accidentally stepped on one. So I figure, well, I didn't plan for it, but I'll use it since it happened. So yeah, if you want to. So yeah, I had no intentions whatsoever to hurt the pigeons, just to sort of chase them and watch them fly around. You know, it's got to make it to make it goofy at the end. But since he accidentally just stepped on one, I figured, well, okay. And so we had him hold it up as a trophy at the end. But yeah, no, that wasn't the plan. But you know, it's. What's somebody saying? Cannibal Holocaust. No, in Cannibal Holocaust, they actually did kill animals totally on purpose. I mean, that's, yeah. No pigeons were harmed intentionally, and And I did not think we were putting the pigeons in a dangerous situation. Like, I guess this was lack of safety protocol for the pigeons to, it's just, he just walked and the pigeon just didn't, I've seen a meme before of a pigeon where it's just like standing around in the middle of the street and this bus just drives right next to it. Like the tire is just going right by it and the pigeon's just, no movement or anything. So, yeah, I'm afraid this is more of a natural selection thing. Yeah, but yeah, I thought it was just a funny thing I had left over, so I thought I'd throw it up on the channel. It was sitting on my hard drive for just years, and then I finally went and added music to it, and class. And I think I ended up the narration I did was. I think I either redid that or I can't remember if the narration was in the original or not. But I think I might have grabbed somebody else. I can't remember if I'm doing the narration or if it was what's his face. I've used the multiple. God, I'm awful with names. Or I've used the multiple. He does the voice of the journal writer in The Tunnel in Civil Protection. He also does this kind of Alec Guinness impersonation in some of the Game Dungeon videos. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Colton somebody Colton, I think. But yeah, okay, keep moving. Ross, if a group of people wanted to make a free game that infringes on some big corporation's copyright, how would you make such development process immune to cease and desist? Well, you'd have to. One, you'd really have to contact not even just a lawyer, but like somebody who's familiar with international copyright law. For sure, this was true at one time. But there are some countries, at least at some time, that just did not have laws on this, or just that don't care if you're doing like a fan stuff about copyright law, where I think you could even engage in outright piracy even. But I mean, this isn't that. They're basically talking about like a fan-made game, so if you had servers in that jurisdiction, that were hosted in that country, you might be okay. However, even then, you might have to obfuscate. You might have to have privacy laws that obfuscate who owns the server, because then they might still go after you in the country that you're living in that probably does have copyright laws against that. Yes. Yeah, Gareth Clark. That sounds like it. Colin Morton he does coding for Half-Life. He helped me fix engine bugs. I'm mixing up names. Yeah, Gareth Clark. That's who the voice is. He's really great as a voice actor. So you would have to do that if you just wanted it like out in the open. However, it could be copyright law has reached the far corners of the earth and there is no country you could actually host a fan game legally without it getting taken down by the local internet service provider. I do not know. That's why you need to consult them. However, yeah, somebody was going to mention that, I was going to mention that another Metroid 2 remake. Basically, the only other way to do it is you could probably be pretty safe in recruiting people in just some fan forum that isn't policing for that sort of thing. And then you'd have to have all communications private. Have your own Discord or IRC or something, or your own private message board. And then basically the public at large does not get wind of it with screenshots and everything like that until you're pretty much done. And then once you release it, then they're going to come after you, but by then the genie's out of the bottle. So, that's what the Metroid 2 remake game did. They kind of, actually they didn't do that. They had it might have just been one guy. I remember seeing a trailer on that before, but I guess Nintendo didn't care until it was actually out. Then it was cease and desist and shutdown, but by then it was too late. So, Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer. If it's not for money, you should be able to do a fan-made game on anything. Now, of course, that's not what the law says, but I think that's the common sense approach. I mean, yeah, if you're selling stuff, then yeah, you need to get a license and get your ducks in a row there, because then you literally are profiting off the company's intellectual property. But if it's just a fan project, God, it's just, I think it gets stupid. But yeah, you'd have to. There might be countries out there where, well, I guess the other alternative is do, I guess, what a lot of like piracy sites do towards now is just have have a critical mass of servers. So the servers are in these private places, like different areas globally. Where, see, I think you might be able. There might be countries that are more tolerant of this, where you're not committing piracy, but you are committing like non-profit copyright infringement, I guess, or copyright violation, where the local laws might be all right with that. It's like, well, this is a fan project. They're not violating international commerce, so it's just, it depends. There might, for sure, there were countries once upon a time that were friendly towards this. I have no idea now. It's not the sort of thing I've been following. But what they do is they'll have, piracy groups will have these, well, I think Game Copy World is an example of that, where even though it is not a piracy site, however, it does distribute cracks, which, again, for sure is against U.S. law. But they have different servers around the world, so if one gets compromised and goes down, there are mirrors around other places that it's unlikely you're going to get hit by all mirrors at all times, but that probably takes some resources to set up. Someone saying cracks are legally great. Depends on the country, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure cracks are 100% legal if you don't distribute them. If you do distribute them, then I think it depends on the country. I think there's some that might be 100% legal, actually. But I don't know which ones. So, yeah, you need... go to... I don't even know if they have a forum. Torrent Freak has a lot of news on this sort of stuff. If they have a forum, you might be able to get a more educated answer there. Okay, let's see. Rust, have you looked at the Call of Cthulhu video game from 2018 at all? I actually have a copy of that. That's one of those I grabbed from GOG. I just haven't got around to it yet. Apparently, it's not on my site's list. Maybe I thought it was too high profile, but maybe I should put it on there. I don't know. So yeah, I still need to play it. I get that mixed up with the Sinking City, and I'm pretty sure there was another investigative Lovecraftian game too that I'm forgetting the name of. But so have you considered that the drivers you see in some of the Trackmania games might also be artificial? Oh yeah, I thought of that, but I felt like, yeah, you know what? That one feels like a stretch for my theory. Whereas in the Trackmania episode, my theory about it being post-apocalyptic, no, it holds up 100% in every other area. So I figure, well, if the audience wants to make that jump, sure, go ahead. But I figure I'll just stick to what feels, no, this seems totally plausible, Whereas I felt like that was more of a stretch there. So yeah, I guess we don't see under the helmet, so we're not sure if these are just like crash test dummies inside. What scares you the most in video games and movies? Do you enjoy horror games? Yeah, but I'm finding I don't really like horror games where you're just wandering around some haunted house or on an area. There's not, all the story is by text. You're not given a weapon or any way to defend yourself. No, here's what scares me the most. I thought about the last game. It's been a lot. I was a teenager. The last game that made me just jump was the original Resident Evil 2, not the new one. I haven't played that yet. And it was one scene in specific. What scares me is creating a false sense of security. See, what happened is you backtrack a fair amount in that game, in the police station, and there's this hallway where you go in, and I cleared out the zombies. And then later, some zombies trickled back in, and I got them. And then it was empty for a while, and then there was a more advanced enemy, I think, like the Licker. and I got them. So I was going back and forth trying to solve these puzzles and exploring. And then as I'm going by, I'm just trying to run through to get to the next area. Bam! These arms come out of the window and grab me. And I'm not even sure it did any damage, but I was so not expecting it because I had personally cleared that room. You know, with a lot of jump scares, like you kind of fortify yourself because, you know, well, it could be coming, you know, and so when it comes, it's like, okay, yeah, fuck that. But if you're just expecting it to be safe, yeah, I mean, it was just, like, that was perfect because, like, I personally had cleared that room more than once. So, like, at this point, that room, I feel like, yeah, that's secure now. So so I think it's not just a jump scare. It's that you have the player needs to be convinced this area is safe. You know, that was actually one of the things I disliked about Doom 3 is they never really give you a breather. You know, whereas, you know, I mean, who doesn't love like the save room music from the original Resident Evil? Or 2's was pretty nice too. Where, you know, you like that period of calm. You gotta let your player calm down and have areas you feel are safe, you know, so that you get more work. Because if it's just all horror all the time, you know, you gotta have pacing there because you just get kind of worn down or not into it. And the other thing that gets me really tense is give your players weapons, but give them like inadequate weapons. Like, so you need to think you have a chance. And to me, that's actually even scarier than just running from the threat or something or hiding because it's like, okay, got me. I gotta start over. Or a good weapon, but not enough ammo. You know, it's like, I remember the Resident Evil series, the old ones are pretty good about that too. You know, it's like, geez, do I really want to use my bullets on this zombie or just kind of run past it? Or, like, you know, and it keeps the tension going because, yeah, I mean, when you get to a boss, like, okay, time to open up. Like, this is what I was saving my weapons for, or something that's just so obviously dangerous. You're just like, you're unloading into it. It's like, oh God, it's still coming, you know. But yeah, I think those two things. It's like you kind of want to keep the player dangling on the edge, but also kind of pace it and yeah, again, false sense of security. Now you can't abuse that too much. You know, you also want the real safe areas too, where like maybe you reach a town or something and the town's fortified, but like you know you're gonna have to go back out there and it looks like super dark and imposing. So that's great. You know, so I think a lot of horror games miss the pacing. That no, you really do need your moments of calm. Yeah, I think in order for a good game. So yeah, you know, me personally, I sort of love the feeling I get from that, from just like being out where it's really dangerous and just coming and just the calm period where like, okay, we're safe for now. You know, I just kind of love that feeling in games. So yeah, I'd say those two things can do a lot. You know, give your players some agency. You know, don't just make them helpless. But at the same time, you know, the odds are against them. You know, it's okay. I should keep moving. The Last Stand Aftermath is coming soon. Yeah, it looks promising. That's one of the ones that got cut from the last Game Dungeon. I was going to mention that in there, so I'll eventually mention that in the next Game Dungeon follow-up. What are your thoughts on recent VR developments? Okay, I think I said about 20 minutes, so I'll answer this one. Do you see VR going mainstream now with Valve releasing the Index, Half-Life Alyx, or is it mass market VR still years down the road? I think the niche got bigger is what happened. So, or niche, whatever. The dictionary says both are correct. So yeah, I mean, I've mentioned this in previous ones, but yeah, if I had to guess, I think the niche got bigger, and I hope it keeps getting bigger. But no, I don't think it's going mainstream, really, yet. But I think you do have a highly devoted fan. I don't think it's going away either. That's the other thing. Like I think you have a highly devoted VR fan base. Actually, I've made the comparison before to something like flight sticks and steering wheels for simulation games. That's a minority of people, but the people who get that stuff are very devoted towards it. I read because of the new Microsoft Flight Simulator, there's been a shortage of like flight gear peripherals now because everybody's just flooding in to get them because they want it for the flight simulators. So yeah, that might be an apt analogy that, small but highly devoted fan base. Actually, I'm really looking forward to that one. That's another reason I want to move to Windows 10 eventually. Well, soon. I say eventually because I don't plan on buying that at full price. But I'm not even that big into flight simulators. But I've seen some on the ground shots, and and not everywhere, but some areas look like good enough to sort of explore, like as though I was in a car or something. And I realized I don't even need a mod. It comes with a camera tool that you can just fly on the ground if you want at any speed. So it'll sort of be like a car thing. So yeah, I'll be playing this in a completely backwards way, but I've been, yeah, some games come along that I think are true technical marvels. Like the original Crysis, I think was like that. I'm trying to think of another ones that were just such leaps forward. The new Microsoft Flight Simulator, I think, is on that level. So, okay, back on topic here. What would be your preferred post-apocalyptic world to live in if you had to choose? Well, I for sure want something with vegetation and not scorched earth and not nuclear holocaust. That would be like dead last, I think. I guess my immediate answer is something probably zombies. Go with a George Romero style end of the world apocalypse. Although I mean that zombies are fantasy though. Again, I saw this. I need to finish it. I saw this great show I've mentioned before, The Survivors. They did a remake, but it's the same concept in both the 70s one and the early 2000s one, where there's this super virus that has spread and it's killed off like 99.9% of humanity. I think like one in every 10,000 people are immune to it. So it's what I said it's just like a zombie movie without the zombies is the show. However, that assumes I have the immunity. If I don't, then I absolutely don't want that one as an apocalyptic scenario. Let's see, what's another one? I'm trying to think post-apocalyptic suggests beyond dystopia. Things are just ravaged. Yeah, I wouldn't want Mad Max. Wouldn't want Fallout, although Fallout's kind of more fantasy too. I mean, not that nuclear Armageddon is fantasy, but there'd be a whole lot of nothing and skeletons in Fallout if it was more realistic. There's just not enough water in that game for it to be realistic. Oh, somebody's saying, what about Waterworld? Well, Waterworld's also fantasy because the ice cap's melting, absolutely not fantasy, but, I think like even right now I'd be above water. So, I mean, there's a map you can see online of what it looks like when the ice pulls melt. There's not enough water. There's not enough water on Earth for Waterworld to be a realistic scenario. You'd have to like level. Okay, I know which one. There's a book that would make a great movie called Lucifer's Hammer. It's about a comet hitting the Earth, and it just sort of, it's not enough. I think it's not enough to cause like nuclear winter, not to blow out the sun, but it just ends up devastating infrastructure to the point where it's just kind of every man for himself, and a lot of societies collapse and new ones form, and it gets a little Walking Dead-ish, with it. So it's a good, yeah. I think there's like a giant tsunami that wipes out a lot of civilization. So yeah, that one still seems survivable. So, okay. Yeah, it's a good book. Okay. I know the biggest part of your work is by your own hand, but in your battle against the madness, I'm sure you need help from time to time. How many people do you have in your team, if there is one? Do you always work with the same people, or do they rotate? I'm talking videos, website, maybe email. You know, it'd be great if I could like unload some of the email. Yeah. So it's, I guess, a little bit of both. I have people helping with a lot more minor things. Okay, so like at the moment, I mean, they can rotate. It depends. If somebody does a great job, I tend to want to stick with them. Like right now, like you can see in the credits, a lot of the videos. One thing I've successfully sort of outsourced is this is only within the past year. What's his name? Spencer Cardillo or Cardillo? I forget. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. What I'll do is when I record lines for, this doesn't work for Freeman's Mind, but for Game Dungeon or like the long form videos, I'll just kind of read through the script, but then maybe I stumble or my voice cuts out or something, so I redo it. Or maybe I thought, I don't like how that sounded. I do it again, and then the emphasis sounds better. What I'll do is I used to edit that down all myself to just the final thing. What I do now is I send that to him. I sort of had like a mini test for it. And I said I'd pay people for that test. I paid some people, but I may have forgotten some others. So if you're listening to this and I never paid you, let me know. I'll just send another reply from the same email address. You know, I'll pay. I wasn't trying to stiff you. I get buried in emails. But so what I did is I gave him a sample of it, and I was looking to see which takes they took, because I wanted someone who was sort of on my wavelength with, no, pick this version of it rather than this version, because that's the sort of thing you just sort of have to get it, you know? And he did a great job of picking out like the same takes I would have. So he's definitely saved me time. I still come in and edit it after him, but he's for sure shaving hours off of each game dungeon for me. And I pay him a percentage of the YouTube profits from that. Someone I need to, who's offered to help, which I need to give him I need to give a test, might be able to offer help with volume balancing, which would be a relief for me. That's actually not a huge portion, but it's usually a couple hours out of each video, and I hate doing it. I have like this mental block against it. But again, they have to kind of know when to get louder or when to get soft. They for sure could do a better job than I will. But let's see. Another thing I do, a different Spencer Tommen, who's been in the credits. Sometimes for like miscellaneous research that I think something can find, I'll say like, hey, try to find a YouTube clip talking about that. Like with the GUI video, I asked him if he could try to find footage of a super wide monitor where the guy's like looking to the left side, or if he launches the start menu or something. And like I figured, that's probably around there on YouTube somewhere. And because I wanted that as an illustrative example as to why the start menu is not so great for super wide monitors. And he found a perfect example of that in another video. So, yeah, let's see. So he helps with that. Also, another thing he and some other people have helped with is what I call article cleanup, where, you know, sometimes I post an article that ties into something I'm talking about, but it will, if you just take a screenshot of an article off a website, it might have like 10 ads on it, all this other stuff saying like, here, click on our forums, click on our mailing list, see who are the new hot celebrities. And it's just like, that's all just visual noise that makes it harder to like hone in on like the point you wanted to make or something. So I basically just have them go, it's just real basic Photoshop stuff that I used to do all this in the past, but I have help with it now, where I just tell them to, you know, go like, okay, just chop it down to just get the logo of the site this came from. We want to show where this is coming from. Then get the title, get the author, get the date, and then, just show the blurb of the headline and the beginning text. And that's it. Just cut out all this other crap. So yeah, it's more than ad block. It's something like, okay, click on Twitter, click on, Facebook, and so I just want to show like the point of it. Like, I still want to like credit the source of it so people can get, see the author, see the date, see the website, that sort of thing. But cut all that. Or sometimes they'll have like, it'll be a great article, but then like they'll have some graphic go with it that for whatever reason the formatting makes the graphic take up the entire page. Or something. So like, yeah, why don't you shrink that down to just like, a moderately small amount so we can see some of the article, that sort of thing. On Freeman's Mind, I'm getting help. Otto still helps. Otto will probably be helping in the movie. Otto Bumelberg will help, did a lot of the old Freeman's Mind episodes. He got busier. I mean, he's still up for helping, but William Smith helps now with most of the Freeman's Mind episodes. He'll probably be doing the sound effects for the next one. I also pay him a percentage of the YouTube profits. Which this is not great payment, by the way, guys. I mean, this is like comes out less than minimum wage for everyone involved. I'd like to integrate more. I mean, yeah, like I noticed in like the last game dungeon, one of the more time-consuming parts was just collecting everything, like getting all the clips, getting all the footage from video clips, or making these charts. Yeah, I'm starting to get a little bit of help with like charts I want made. See, here's the thing. I would love to have more people helping me, but it's always a gamble because, like, let's say editing the video is even trickier because I have to have the same software that they're going to be using. And like Premiere CC is a standard and I don't like paying a monthly fee for that. But in fact, I might be trying to actively switch to another editing software. But like what I found in that game dungeon was just getting all this stuff in one, like the actual editing took some time, but that was only few days. Like just actually getting all this stuff together in one place was hard. Or like, and the thing is sometimes just explaining what I want to do might actually take longer than just doing it myself. So I have to make sure like the total net time spent is lower with help than just doing it myself. But when I say it's a gamble, is like with the like what I was talking about, like editing out my tics. I mean, what am I talking? I'm saying the wrong word. Editing out my takes. God. I've noticed I tend to think phonetically. Like I'll make misspellings in emails and realized, oh, actually this is actually the correct word, just the wrong word, exact same pronunciation. And I got my takes. Okay, so I tried that. I made sort of a mini contest out of it where I paid a small amount to the people who participate in it. I may have to do that with more things, but I have to set aside something to do that, so that takes time. And then I have to go and review all these. And so say like 5 people that's like, well, this isn't quite how I want it. They're not quite in the same wavelength. Well, then that's all time I spent trying to get that to go the right way. Or say they pass the first test, but then they do a larger project and then, they don't seem to get where I'm trying to go with it. Well, then that's all wasted time. Well, not wasted, but it's time that didn't lead to anything productive. So now I've lost time, and now the video's set back even longer because it took longer to make that than if I had just done it myself. However, if I find somebody who's good, then it's going to save me time maybe permanently as long as I keep making videos. So I've thought about it. Yeah, this came up and somebody emailed me about this. It's like I realized the only way I think I get out of this is for me to just work just around the clock, because then I'm working on the video just nonstop. So I have my full backup plan, and I'm working on another video at the same time that I'm fully prepared to be stalled as long as it needs to be. And I'm working with other people, so I'm just burning through all my time to try to get to a place where I either have more free time or else I'm getting more videos out for the same amount of time. So I'm trying, guys. It's just, this is a real weak area of mine. So I swear I'm trying. But yeah, the credits is always the easiest way to see who's working on what. So if their names, you see a whole bunch, I'm obviously pretty happy with their help. But yeah, I'd love to be able to sort of outsource more of this. Yeah, it's not as straightforward as it might seem. So, yeah, work faster. Yeah. Well, that's just it. I can't work any faster without either compromising the quality or just like losing sleep, or all free time. So, yeah, that I don't like compromising the quality. So. And then there's, fingers crossed, I'm going to come across another game dungeon that's just more like maybe 10-minute episode or 20-minute episode. God, I really thought this latest one was going to be like around the 20-minute range. Nope. So, but this is all quality additions in my opinion. So, okay, I'm going to get pickier with the questions now. Somebody's saying no any jokes. I can't think of any offhand. However, I saw something I thought was hilarious that made me laugh. I'll put a link in the description. Here, let me make a note to myself. This is one of those GIF sites, or GIF, how are you supposed to pronounce it, that it has audio included. You have to turn the audio on manually. So click on the upper right to turn the audio on. So he's asking how much of the Earthbound series I've played. I've only played Earthbound, so I think that was the second one in the series. I liked it, but I still hate turn-based combat. But it's a good game. I like this sort of contemporary setting, but contemporary fantasy. Kind of surreal. It's like weird that these like little kids are going together and just going to all these strange places and saving the world and stuff. Let's see. Someone's asking about, it's pretty clear Valve only wants to keep its old multiplayer games alive through official updates made by the community. Talking about Left 4 Dead 2 and Team Fortress 2. Do you think this is the way to approach these games to prevent them from slowly dwindling in players? Could it also be that today's Valve simply chooses not to update these games anymore due to choice? Oh yeah, I'm sure most of them would rather work on other things. This is where I don't know. Well, sure, getting the community involved in multiplayer, it's rarely a bad idea, I think. Especially if you, if it's well managed. If it's not well managed, it can kind of descend to chaos. But this is where I think Valve's structure to their company, I think maybe is kind of a disadvantage, because if I was doing this, I would hire someone or a couple people, okay, now that the game's done, we're maybe not going to make a bunch of updates for it, but you set us, Valve is flush with cash. Yeah, maybe it doesn't make economic sense for them. I don't know. Just devote a couple people, or they're the Left 4 Dead guys, Like, okay, they're not making Left 4 Dead 3, but they're making like some new DLC content. It comes out when it comes out. Or, they're managing the community stuff, something like that. And other people, they're the TF2 guys. I'm sure there are people out there who would love to have that position, So meanwhile, most of the staff works on another big game. Or, okay, some people work on the VR development. Another, I don't think assigning roles is such an awful thing. So, okay. Oh yeah, this is a question. A question by Daniel Potato Stove. I saw that name. A lot of low budget computer animated crap films always seem to get the same thing wrong. This the pacing. Either we observe what's going on too quickly and we don't learn about characters or story, or it's going so slow we don't even care about anything. I'm actually wondering which. Okay, they might be talking like about artsy type stuff, animated, and they're asking about my pacing for the movie. Yeah, no, I'm very aware of that. In fact, that's one concern I have. Is they're talking about how I wanted to work in like multiple side plots. I'm a little worried I might be trying to work too much stuff into the movie, but it's okay. There's like the part. I'll say this: parts of the movie script are kind of modular. Like the core isn't, but the core I'm certain I can get filmed in a reasonable amount of time. So it's possible I might have to shelve a couple of ideas if I feel like it's just going on too long, or it's just, or the only way I can cram this in is to just make everything too fast paced. As far as pacing, I mean, I can't promise. I mean, they're saying they're not worried about it because they saw the tunnel. It's going to be faster paced than the tunnel. I'm probably going to be using sort of like, again, this would be a comedy adventure. If all goes well, it's going to be paced sort of like an 80s adventure movie. So, there's some parts that are exciting and quick, but then you have your breather, calmer sections. But it might get a little more, it could get a little bit more rapid than that. Like I'm thinking, what? The Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. That's a movie that has kind of a fast pace. So I don't want it to get quite that fast, but I do like how they were kind of jumping from a lot of different things. So I kind of want to keep it moving, but yeah, I don't want to just throw everything at you, just nonstop ADHD style. Yeah, the best movie example I've seen of that, where they don't give you a break. And I'm wondering if this is like, the Lego movie. I saw that and I was just like, I don't know if this was just my age or I'm just the wrong generation or no, maybe it really is only for kids on a sugar high ADHD stuff. But that movie was just like bam, bam, bam. So I'd say the upper end of what I'm all right with pacing wise would be something like, was it Scott Pilgrim versus the World? However, that's faster. I think that's a faster pace than what I'm going to have. So that for the movie. So let's see. So I'm saying that movie is the best babysitter. Yeah, the Lego movie. It was just, it felt hyperactive. I mean, like I'm wondering if that would have been too fast for me even as a kid. I don't know. So, but yeah, I'm going to be extremely aware of the pacing. Look, and I say this knowing I sometimes cut corners on Game Dungeon. Or so, like if I have some like weak spots or that could have been better, I'm aware of it. So the movie, I think it'll be in safe-ish hands as far as the pacing. Yeah, if you're a professional wrestler, what would your walkout music theme be? Okay, I was again. I don't watch much wrestling, but okay, but I have an answer. But before I give the answer, I want to give my context here, because the vast majority of music I listen to, I'm listening to like the tune of it and like how it sounds, like just the general feeling it gives me. And then like usually if I like a song, it's only then later that I'm like actually hearing lyrics. So I'm not basing this on the lyrics, but I was thinking, okay, if it's wrestling, you want something where, you want to get the crowd fired up, just kind of make it splashy, that sort of thing. And so the track that was coming to mind, like from a musical sense, it was in the Heavy Metal 2000 soundtrack. Was it Psycho Sexy by Sinistar? I'll link to that in the description. Yeah. I'll try to link to a good copy. There's one on YouTube where it's like blown out with the volume, but yeah, that has It was like I get the feeling wrestling fans would have zero problems with this music as like as an intro. Like, you know, you're somebody who's you don't know who the hell this is. Like, okay, this music play. All right. You know, like like you know, it's somebody. Even if you're not good, you're still making a splash. I think with music like this. So yeah, let me make a note to link to that. Okay, I should. I'm getting pickier on the questions now. I haven't played more I haven't played more games from that pack I bought for the Construction Bob. Let's see. For the Construction Bob Goes to Hell pack. Only the Construction Bob games. Let's see. So he's asking my opinion on the Silent Hill soundtracks. Yeah, I've heard the first four. They're pretty great. I mean, Silent Hill is one of those where some tracks border on noise, but it works so well for the setting. No, there's some really great soundtracks in Silent Hill 2. Well, not just Silent Hill and Silent Hill and Silent Hill 3. 4 I'm less familiar with. I still need to finish 4, but 1 through 3 I've for sure heard. Yeah, I mean they have a range. I'm trying to think of my favorite track from that. But okay, well I mentioned that NVIDIA Machinima. Yeah, 100%. If that works out. You have over 200,000 subscribers. Have you gotten your YouTube play button yet? Nope. I have not gotten a message about it or anything. I think the limit used to be 100,000. All I figure is I got lost in the system. But good news is I don't care. So, well, actually, maybe I do. Okay, I think they give a silver play button. I have to assume it's not worth that much in silver. I guess if it's like a solid block of silver, yes, please send me my silver play button. Because that has like real that has real monetary value. But if it's just the coloring or something, yeah. So if it really is a solid block of silver, YouTube, please send me my play button plaque. You know, but anything else, no, it's fine. I don't care. You guys can keep it. It's all right. But yeah, I figure I just got lost in the system. Ross, you can pick any upgrade to one part of your computer for free. What would it be? Ooh. Okay, yeah, here's an easy... Well, no. My first answer was I read about... what was this? I think it was on PC Gamer. What was it? It was kind of a joke article where like... Yeah, okay. It's... Yeah, okay. I think it was 100 terabyte SSD for $40,000 or something. But I realized, wait, no, I wouldn't. Well, no, actually, I'd still use that, but I wouldn't really want that because they'll be too vulnerable. I couldn't store anything valuable on that because if that goes, well, then I'm dead. You know, I'm stuck in the water. But yeah, that would be nice. I would love some like mega high capacity drive. But like even on my, so you have drives lying all over the place here, you know. Even part of the reason I have so many drives is they're redundant. So I basically never keep anything super valuable on just one drive. So I would need 2 for that. Yeah, okay, they're saying the award's 92% nickel. So yeah, I'm not too worried about the creator award. What? Okay. Well, okay, yeah, I guess. I don't know if this counts. Yeah, see, this is the thing with VR. Before the pandemic hit, I was actually toying with the idea of making this trip to this YouTuber, what was it? MRTV, I think, where he has like this display where you can get a ticket and you can try like basically any VR set there is for, like an hour and a half for like $20 or something, or it might have been a little bit more. But man, I was thinking that would be great because to just be able to try on all this stuff myself, I can't imagine that's going right now with the pandemic. So missed my window for that. But if I was just flying completely blind on VR and just had to guess which one's going to be the best, I might go with the Pimax, is it the 8KX, I think? The one with like 2 4K panels, widescreen, supposed to be the most comfortable one. I don't know if having extra wide VR would weird me out, but that one might be the best one. In display, there's no one best VR. There's like 3 or 4 different ones that are best in different areas. But someone says the Pimax aren't comfortable. Have you tried the Pimax 8KX? I heard they had a complete redesign for it, and it cost like $1,500 or something like that. I have heard it is more comfortable than the Valve Index. So take that, these are from like VR reviewers, you know? So yeah, see the Pimax has multiple ones. Yeah, but if that counts as a peripheral, not like a core computer component, well, if I guess an RTX card would be pretty great if I need it for those NVIDIA machinima tools, and if those are really going to make the difference. Because I don't care about ray tracing. I mean, yeah, I'll probably want to try out Quake 2 with ray tracing, but you know, I'm not dying for it. It's like I said in the Trackmania video, raster graphics, they're so good at cheating now that that just every game looks, with a big budget, looks great to me. So I'm not feeling the hurt on that. But if there's like some unique AI stuff I really wanted to do, then yeah, I might want the tensor cores. I'll be touching on that in the future video. I have stuff related to AI that's coming out. But trying to think. See, graphics. I mean, maybe a monitor. That I'm pretty happy with my monitor, but I might eventually want to go to a bigger one. Go whole hog 4K 32-inch IPS or something like that. I'm not sure if 32 inches would be too much. I wonder if I'm not sure if I get overwhelmed by that. If somebody has a 32-inch monitor, you can let us know if it's like too much. And maybe I could come up with some tricks. Like I wouldn't be able to run all games at 4K, but maybe I could come up with some tricks where I can have, you need special software for this, but have 1080 with anti-aliasing scale perfectly, you know, so it doubles each pixel, because by default you can't do that. It uses some bilinear filter inside the monitor itself. Okay, somebody's saying 32 inches is great. Yeah, because that would have a long shelf life. Yeah, get one with frame syncing while I'm at it, you know. I'm not even sure if you can get a 4K monitor that big above 60 hertz. I mean, I'm still on 60 hertz, but it's okay. I mean, 90 would be nice, I guess, but now they're up to like ridiculous numbers, which I wouldn't care. Yeah, you know, on one hand, having a higher frame rate would be nice. On the other hand, maybe I don't want to get used to it, because a whole lot of games are frame capped at 60 frames per second. So, somebody says that's better than 4K. Yeah, well, see, the thing is, truth be told, I am happy with even 1080 resolution if I have stellar anti-aliasing, because those pixels bug me. You know, but, you know, if you get it to 4K, I think the aliasing would be so tiny I stop caring. So it's like a roundabout way to get to it. But yeah, I mean, I actually know what high frame rates used to look like. I used to be on a CRT, and when I did the stereoscopic 3D, you wanted high frame rates because it was shutter glasses, so you kind of had to chop it in half. I think at the lowest resolution, I had a monitor that could do 200 hertz, on a CRT, but even then but I remember not really feeling the hurt past 85 hertz for just regular stuff, but yeah, no, IPS is like the number one thing I'd want. Like the TN panels drive me crazy, but yeah, I guess probably storage or or VR or monitor then storage. Like my CPU, I mean it's all right. Although who knows, I might feel the hurt on the CPU in the future with the next console generation because they'll probably be designed to use more threads. I'm not, most of what I do isn't multi-threaded. Like that motion blur processing for Freeman's Mind, it's single-threaded. Recording the frames by frames for Freeman's Mind, that's single-threaded from, or I don't know, well, it's from Source Engine. So I know multi-threaded is used when I'm doing the final render, but it's sort of a mix where that's such a small amount of time involved with actually making the videos. However, that's the time where I'm just like, yeah, come on, get it out so I can get it out to people. That's the part where I feel the time the most. So it's a bit of a paradox. Honestly, since I'm relying on hand-me-downs, I might even be a little bit happier with the Intel one I have now because, see, games, they're still, it may not matter. It could be Ryzen so good it just doesn't, I won't even notice the difference for most things. But it's like games and real-time recording are like the one thing I need to have the stronger performance for. Everything else I'm patient on. But who knows? I could see my workload changing depending on how big into AI utilities I get in the future that I might want the extra cores. But most of what I use, I mean, right now what I have is like 4 cores, 8 threads. So there's not like a ton of games where having all the extra cores and threads make a huge difference. Like I remember being almost kind of shocked, like how small the difference made in a lot of modern games, but it depends, you know. But that could change with the next console generation where they're making games designed for like 16 threads and you really start feeling the hurt. But I'm not feeling the hurt on the CPU so far. Okay, so yeah, I guess visual stuff, like big, expensive visual stuff would probably be where I'd put the money in. But I'm doing all right. It's okay. Okay. Oh yeah, somebody mentioned lots of. I really should take live questions soon, but oh man, I'm not. I thought I was farther down the questions. Okay. Well, they're mentioning lots of giant things like the giant cow and the crew in Australia, and they have links, and they show. Luna Park looks interesting, and they said it's a giant clown mouth, but it really looks more like a giant ventriloquist doll mouth, which they're those creepy looking ones. So. Yeah, no, if I was doing a road trip, I'd probably want to stop by giant things just to stop. Okay, I'm skipping a few more questions. Sorry. Yeah, somebody's saying I don't really like, I've never really liked text-based adventure games for 2 reasons. One is you're just, old school stuff like Zork. The first is it's just so much guesswork. Like, okay, open this or push this. Like, oh, I don't reckon what is push. It's like an extra layer of blindness on top of the moon logic you already had in old adventure games. That it's just incomprehensible for it. It's just not fun. And the other is I found that I've always preferred graphics in games. Like even if it's just like ASCII characters, there's like a real old, maybe I'll do that as a game dungeon, like an old ASCII character graphics game. I don't know, like I have no idea why, but it's like I'm fine with reading books or articles or something, but I don't really like kind of like having to type it in and like read the text as I go. I guess it's like it activates a different part of my brain. For some reason, I don't even like audiobooks. I'd rather just read it. I don't know. So, yeah, I've never been I've always liked some level of graphics in games, and I've always, just, man, talk about being I heard a gym, I think I might have stolen this from one of the videos. I had a gym coach in middle school who shouted this at one of the students. It's like, son, you're like a blind man in a dark room at midnight looking for a black cat that isn't there. Like, So I'm pretty sure I stole that for one of the videos, maybe in Freeman's Mind or something. So, but that's what text-based adventure games feel like. Do you like spicy food? Have you ever had anything so spicy made you contemplate your immortality? Well, not quite that spicy. I like spicy, but just spicy. Like, if it's so spicy, it's just pure pain, then I kind of don't like. I can hack it, but I don't really enjoy it because it takes away from the meal. My dad's the one who, ironically, is a real fire eater. He has to go to like Malaysian food or something before it's like really getting spicy for him. Yeah, it's kind of a spectrum. The level of spice, I like sort of medium spicy. The level of spiciness I like is like at the threshold of what my wife can handle. Like it's like way too spicy. It's almost too spicy for her, where it's like almost just right for me. And that's like me with my dad, where like the threshold where I'm just like, I'm starting to tear up. That's about like the acceptable level for my dad. So it's like we're on a tier-based spicy foods totem pole there, where I'm in between. Okay, skipping more questions. Do you make up your mind regarding purchasing a VR headset? Well, I have now as a present the Samsung Odyssey Plus, so I'm gonna ride that out as long as I can. When it's on sale, around $200 or below, in my opinion, that one's probably the best bang for the buck. Yeah, or as I call it, the best sit and wait option, because, like, I don't know, because what's the resolution of the Reverb 2? See, the original Reverb had one of the highest resolutions, but the FOV was one of the smallest. I'm curious if the Reverb 2 outdoes the Pimax 8K. I haven't kept up with it lately. No. Well, okay, it's sort of tied vertically, I think, with the Pimax 8K. It's tied for vertical resolution, but the 8K outdoes them on horizontal. And I think, they outdo them on field of view for sure, than the Reverb G2. So, yeah. And see, that's why I want to try them, because I honestly don't know what I'm going to care about more. Do I care about the color more? Probably not. Do I care about field of vision? Maybe. I might care about that a lot, or maybe that makes me more sick. I don't know. The refresh rate, is that the king? I mean, for motion sickness, I don't know. I mean, it's like I need to try these to really know which spec is most important for me. But for sure, the Odyssey Plus is going to get my foot in the door there. And I'll be able to get off Oculus, man. Oculus announced that they're, in the future, they're going to require a Facebook account. And like people were dogpiling Palmer Luckey because he said that wasn't going to happen, but he doesn't work at the company anymore. It's like, oh no, Facebook lied. Who could have foreseen that happening? So I'm only too happy to get away from it, because look, someone gifted me the DK2, and I talked about this on Twitter. Somebody was saying, oh, well, you shouldn't judge the Oculus based on the DK2. That's an old product. It's like, you're damn straight I can, because you know what I can judge them on? The fact that they do not give me the drivers to install offline, and I have to use their their portal that's unsupported for this product in order to get that working with modern games, you know, if they, because I will judge them. Yeah, I mean that. I think Razer is the only other company that's done that I've seen do that. You know, the mice where you have to connect on the internet in order to install drivers for the product. You know, and that's just, you can't just download it and install it offline. Like, let's say you didn't have internet, or let's say they stopped supporting it. You know, you can't just get the old drivers. So it's, I mentioned that at least one. Well, I mentioned in the last Game Dungeon, a Razer, or no, maybe it was a GUI video where I'm boycotting because they're mice. They require an internet connection to install drivers. It's like, I just see that as a vulnerability, you know? Yeah, somebody's saying the hardware rocks, but their software cables suck. Well, the thing is, there's competition for the hardware. I mean, there is if you want to go cheap, there's the mixed reality stuff like the Lenovo, Dell, the cheaper HP one. If you want to go more expensive, there's the Index, there's the Reverb, there's Pimax, you know, and again, I'm on the Odyssey Plus, or I'm going to be once I switch to 10. So. See, somebody's saying G2 is the way to go for most people. Well, that's still $600. That may not be most people. Most people would rather spend $130 and get like the, okay, what's the Lenovo one cost? Or I want to say there were more. Lenovo mixed reality, or just wait for there's a sale and get the Samsung Odyssey Plus. You know. Here, Lenovo, I mean, currently unavailable. Oh, no, there's got to be ones that are available. Well, I don't know. There's Lenovo Mirage, but those were like in the 150. Well, those were in the 150 range. That's a big difference from $600. You know, yeah. Somebody's saying they got a Lenovo for 150. So. Yeah, see, somebody's saying the Odyssey Plus is $650 on Amazon. You gotta wait for the sales. Like, wait till Black Friday. Wait for Black Friday. It's gonna get down. They've done this multiple times where it just crashes down to like $200 or around there. You know, maybe $225. I think I saw it once below $200. So, yeah, not the Magnavox Odyssey. Or you're saying, is it Black Friday canceled? Well, fine, Cyber Monday then, or I don't know. Yeah, who knows? Anything could be happening with the economy, but so yeah. It reminds me of video cards in the early 2000s where it wasn't just ATI and NVIDIA. There was also Matrox, S3, 3DFX, you know, so it's like, and it wasn't always clear which was best, you know. Oh, somebody's asking about fan games. Yeah, geez, a lot of questions. Asking about fan game sessions. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but for sure I'll do a session of Secret World Legends in October. So I have a high-level character. I've never done the Manhattan Raid. So everybody can join me for the Manhattan Raid. They usually have some Halloween activities. So yeah, if you want to start grinding a character, you can. You still have time. You can. It's free. You know, the game's free for Secret World Legends. I'm trying to think of like what do we do when you have a big group of people. So yeah, you can think of ideas. You can certainly meet in Agartha with just a level 1 character. You know, so you don't have to grind through it. We can figure out something, but I don't know. Maybe we can try. Maybe we can try to explore all the hidden pathways in Agartha. I think I've gotten all the lore for it, but that could be kind of fun. I have a lot of people plummeting, missing the jump, that sort of thing. So yeah, if you're a Secret World fan, think of what we can do with a bunch of people together. Yeah, again, there'll probably be some Halloween event. We can maybe try that. But yeah, that was the one thing I hadn't done in the game is the Manhattan Raid. So, Let's see. Do you think we'll eventually reach a point of civilization similar to Star Trek, although instead never leave our own solar system, eventually go extinct due to our own stupidity? It's hard to say. No, I don't think we're gonna need, not without unforeseen breakthroughs, because what I've found is just like with every system, it's like we undermine ourselves. Humanity is its own worst enemy. So it's like even if we have the plan to utopia laid out and we start doing it, somebody's going to undermine it over time and just try to deconstruct it and wreck it and try to establish another system that's awful. You know, so I don't know. I mean, now we might get our act enough together to have enough foresight to build one of those generation ships, but that's not happening anytime soon. So, yeah, I don't know. We're kind of our own worst enemy. Like, again, the only idea I have on this is have like some regimented. Yeah, geez, have some regimented system where like brain scans start become. Some sci-fi solution is brain scans start becoming like mandatory for a lot of positions that influence the flow of society, so they can see, okay, is this person delusional? Like we do a test, or is this person a psychopath? We do a test, you know. But even then, that's not a guaranteed thing. I mean, and even then, what if you hit a critical mass of the people who are kind of delusional on stuff, or the psychopath convinces a critical mass of people that this is a good idea when it's not, and we just it seems like anything could fall apart. I don't know. This is like a problem I've seen in just basically any system. So I mean, I don't know. I bet on maybe not. I mean, but you know, if we can survive long enough, maybe we can get our act together enough to send ourselves into space in like a generation ship. But it's not happening anytime soon. We got so many problems at home to get under control first. Let's see. Okay, longer question. Oh yeah. Okay, I thought I should address this. They're saying, why don't you turn these video chats into Game Dungeon follow-ups? And they're saying, they're commenting on how much time it'll take. Well, they're saying it's going to take more and more for each game, for each follow-up. No, not necessarily. It took about as much time as the last one. Because I kind of have a cutoff as to how many games. But that's the follow-up episodes are one area where maybe it would pay off a lot more if I could find the right editor to take care of it. Because that is less nuanced stuff that takes all. See, like, okay, in the current game dungeon right now, I have like this list of notes of things I'm gonna need in addition to the game footage. Where like, okay, I have it actually split by category. Like, okay, I'm gonna need these images, I'm gonna need these video clips, and like sometimes some extra audio files. But the thing is, I just have like 2 words and I know what I'm talking about. If I was to explain this to somebody else, I might need 1 to 2 paragraphs for each. So I'm writing a book as to like how to make this episode. And maybe that still would be worth it, but it's like I really have to have a lot of trust that it's going to turn out like about how I'm thinking. But I mean, but they're saying you change the format to be with you, the camera reading from a paper with bullet points. Huge drop in quality, I know. But that just take you an afternoon, maybe 2. Yeah, it's true, but it's like, okay, I feel like that's like me giving into the dark side, to be honest. Because I've seen a lot of other YouTubers where they just talk about a topic. Okay, record, post, bam, and they'll get like a competitive, if not more views than I will on like some of my best videos. But I'm thinking like, you know, this is just throwaway stuff. So that's why I say I'm not a good businessman, because if making money was my number one priority, then like I would just cut to the easy stuff. I mean, I kind of, the most I experimented with that was like with the moon gaming, but people weren't really digging that. So, I mean, well, you can see it, it bears out in the numbers with these. Not nearly as many people watch these as the main videos. However, these are getting long. I mean, if I cut it down to like 5-10 minutes of just me talking on a topic, yeah, I probably could get a lot. But again, it just, I have this feeling like that's giving into the dark side. That's like the complete opposite direction. See, I'm trying to like keep the channel afloat enough to be able to work up to the movie and like give people reasons to watch something. So it's not like let's say you had a long day of work, you come back and you want to watch something fun. That's really what I want to go for. Whereas if it's just some guy talking, it's less satisfying. Like how in games, like survival games, like some food will be less filling, like like eating like a head of lettuce is less satisfying than like the stew, which fills up more hunger points. I feel like the movie will be like the max level. Stuff like Game Dungeon or Freeman's Mind, it's not as filling as like movie or original stuff like Civil Protection, but it's better than just like talking to the camera, which is just like the minimum. But no, it could be I could make more money, get more popular, more views, just talking to the camera a whole bunch on just a lot of different topics. But I don't know. I don't know. It's so I hope the chat has installed. Maybe somebody. Okay, good. Somebody type something. So I don't know. I'd rather make something that you can watch this 5 years later and still get some enjoyment out of it. Whereas a lot of this topical stuff, it doesn't hold up so much for like with news or something with different topics. So like I figure these monthly chats are sort of my compromise. So, but it does come at a cost. The videos just are coming out like not as fast, but hey, we'll see how I am by the end of the year. Like I feel like just moving, the pandemic, getting these big videos out of the way, were all just big hurdles I've been trying to get through that kind of skewed how things are looking right. Yeah, right now I know that the pace looks like it's glacial, but these next two videos are coming out. The Dream Software video won't be as bad as stuff like the GUI video, and then it's just going to be like grinding away at Freeman's Mind and Game Dungeon. So I think I could kind of make up for lost ground for the bottom half of the year. So, and I'll maybe at I get kind of a boost when I finish the video that maybe I can sort of write out that, yes, some people were saying I looked like I was on drugs last time. It was that boost from like, I have finished the video. Oh, good. It's just weight off my mind, So maybe I can write that out to try to get more people involved in the process, which will help productivity in the long term. But it's like, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to get more done, but it's like, I just keep feeling like I'm giving into the dark side by doing that. So I don't know. I think fans would probably, I think there's at least a decent chunk of fans who would say like, oh, okay, if it's not now, whatever, I'll come back later. Okay, they'd rather watch something a little more effort was put into it rather than just me talking every day or every other day or something like that. So, okay, should keep moving. Let's see. Oh, an audience rating to the list. Yeah, I can maybe add that later. That's low priority for me. I need to update. Oh, one quick announcement. At some point, I've mostly been adding newer games to the list. At some point, I'm going to catch up on this old stuff, and there could be pages worth of stuff flooded into the games list from just, like 90s or early 2000s and stuff. So just giving a warning there, Okay, skipping more questions. Sorry. Yeah, well, I should mention the Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm super interested in it. Even with the reduced quality graphics at ground level, I think there's some potential there. But I'm gonna wait till it gets cheap too, which could take a while. So Uh, I think I mentioned this, but they're asking what I use to emulate older versions of Windows. I've been using VMware, like an older version of it. Let's see. Yeah, this is a good point. Will we be seeing the return of short animated intros for Freeman's Mind? I honestly forgot about that. I guess my thing is I don't want to get caught on any one for too long. So if someone actually that's something fans could help out with. If you know great spots like throughout all of Half-Life 2, if you know that have like that kind of little cinematic feel to them, you could even contribute demos or work out. Yeah, if somebody feels like dealing with the pain of demo smoother, you know, yeah, you could get your name in the. I probably won't pay for those because that's kind of like an extra thing, is less critical. But I mean, I for sure put your name in the credits. For what was the use? So yeah, if you wanted to contribute some, or yeah, you could get demos. I think would probably work. Okay, skipping more questions. Let's see. Yeah, there's some related to Destiny 2. Okay, I could keep moving on. Oh, okay. Well, this has been brought up, but I'll do this real quick just to explain my view on it, because the fact that this question is getting asked again is talking about the universal basic income. Real quick, my views on that are, because we're in such a mess and like no help seems to be coming, basic income seems like a no-brainer for the short term. To me, it's like somebody's bleeding from the neck. You gotta get pressure on the wound, even if it's just like a dish rag or something, you know? And then I think in the long term, there's some problems it won't solve, and it has an enormous vulnerability in the sense that I have not heard one satisfactory answer as to what prevents all of that money, or almost all of it, going to landlords over time. Like, so in the short term, it would just be like manna from heaven. And the medium to long term, it's like, oh, looks like the cost of living just tend to magically go up by what the universal basic income has to be compared to before. So I don't see how like most of that doesn't go to landlords over the course of like 5 years, 10 years, something like that. So I have not heard one good rebuttal to that. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of the assumptions about basic income are that, you know, what you get for the purchasing power of your money stays roughly the same, you know, or it stays tied to that. And so that's why I say it absolutely would help for the short term. And for the long-term problems, I'm not sure it would do anything. It could even accelerate like ecological collapse is one I think of in particular. Like even if you find a way to secure it so that the value of basic income stays the same in the future as it does now, it might lead to more like ecological collapse, that problem's farther out, that before we're like really in the fire on that. But so yeah, but the reason I mention that as opposed to like, I think the better long-term program would be like some like sort of nonprofit jobs program, I guess, funded by tax dollars to sort of fix the world, or just a different economic system entirely. But you know what? Neither of those are gonna happen anytime soon. Like those, even if everybody's on board, it would probably take like years to get that implemented. Whereas we're in a crisis like right now, where it's like more people going homeless, more people losing their jobs. Like, good God, that's just like a powder keg. So whereas basic income, you could if the government wanted to, it could implement that fast. Now I'd have to figure out the problems with it later, but again, it's like the bleeding from the neck analogy. It's like you're gushing blood, fine, get a dirty dish rag, you know, stop the bleeding, figure out how to clean the wound, stitch it up later, you know? It's like, that's how I see basic income at the moment. So because I think it's the fastest solution. I think it's the fastest short-term solution to mitigate the most amount of pain. So, okay, yeah, I meant to go through that faster. Skipping more questions, sorry. I've played through Dusk. That's one of the questions. Question about Linux with asking if Vulkan became the default API instead of DirectX, would you move to Linux? There's a lot of things that go into that. Okay, I guess it's not as big a deal now because we have downsampling. One of my issues even with games that I could get working on Linux, I like anti-aliasing, and there's a lot of old games you can't force it on in Linux. At least I wasn't unable to, whereas you can do that through drivers on NVIDIA. However, was it DG Voodoo opened up some doors. But even then, that's only multi-sampling anti-aliasing. It's not super sampling. So that would do nothing for things like chain link fences, alpha transparency textures. But if not, what are the deterrents to push you away from it? I use so many different programs. Getting that all working on Linux, it's an uphill battle. Again, in that video, it's just little things that you're not expecting with Linux. It's like I almost couldn't believe it when I was making that video. It's like, okay, I want to switch to just 1080 resolution to capture this. Then I find out that is literally impossible to do without using the command line and a virtual machine. I'm like, this is kind of basic, and so that's what I remember in the past. Like, Linux is awesome until it's not. I might repeat this, but the analogy I think of when I think of Linux is it's like for basic things, it is great. It's like even better than other OSs, I would say, where it reminds me, like, say you're driving along a highway and then you're in this region where it's like a real well-funded city area. Everything's well lit, super paved, everything's clean, and then you run into something that's like a little off the beaten path, and now it's a dirt road with like wild dogs, maybe some unmarked landmines. That's how Linux feels. It's like it's the best and the worst, I think. And like the more specialized you get, like the uglier it can get sometimes. But the other thing is for old game compatibility, like I don't know, it's for sure better than it used to be, but I want to see. Well, I'll get to that in a future video. Okay, man, I gotta keep moving. It's going on 3 hours. Okay. Something else. Yeah, I don't give spoilers on what's coming to Freeman's Mind too, I'm afraid. I haven't done a lot of like local multiplayer gaming. It was kind of like, friends had to visit, that sort of thing. Well, I remember I did that once at a friend's. No, actually, this was just something. I think it was like a college event. I actually did multiplayer Halo, and I never played it, and I was god awful with the controls. But I had played more deathmatch than all these people, so I actually had a big advantage in that I could see. Well, wait a minute, I can see what everybody's doing. This is a big advantage. So I went and I found this corner. It was either Halo or GoldenEye. I found this corner where you couldn't really tell where I was. I was sort of hidden. I was just watching where people were and waiting. I was basically just coming out and ambushing them with a shotgun or something. And I was doing okay just because I knew more tricks and I was playing dirty. So my skill with thumbsticks was just horrendous, but screen watching is cheating. Yeah, you're not supposed to. Well, well, it's it was just local four player people. I mean, that's kind of an inherent risk in local multiplayer, Yeah, somebody's asking what Windows 10 advice. Check that O&O Shut Up 10 program. That helps a lot. Gotta skip. Somebody's asking why Nintendo introduces artificial scarcity in their products. All I can figure is it's a company culture thing. Like, Okay, more questions. Somebody asking about specific games. Ross, what's the secret weapon? Okay, well, just to be clear, the secret weapon does not exist, but I think it could. That's what the video is going to be about. I think it's possible, but you'll find out in the video here. Okay, we're getting into negative points. So in the chat, go ahead and put 3 equal signs. Ask a question, then I have an announcement at the end of this. Yeah, I keep running out of time on these. Somebody's mentioned a bunch of YouTube channels I don't know. Okay, so yeah, let's see. Ross, did you listen to the Deus Ex Remix album by Alexander Brandon? I skimmed it. There were some samples on YouTube. I was almost going to mention that in the Game Legend follow-up. I should have, but what I found is like all the tracks, I liked some of what they were doing, and then other parts I didn't. So it was, it's like, well, I think I cut this from the original Deus Ex episode. I was going to say something like, the music isn't like perfect. I could see having higher fidelity, but it's so good. And I've seen so many remixes just want to go off in their own direction that it just doesn't feel like a better rendition of that. Like, it's like you're playing, it's like such a fine line, I think, to try to improve upon the music from the original Deus Ex. There is room for improvement, but it would be very hard, I think. But sometimes I do hear like what I feel like is just the best remix. I actually heard, I don't know why, I got it in my head. I forget how it came up in the conversation, but I never really watched the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but I would see the intro. A friend of mine watched it, and like the theme's great. Yeah, and so I looked. Oh, there's like a metal version of Power Rangers. Yeah, there is, and it was awesome. Like, okay, I'll link to that in the description. I was thinking, yeah, there's basically nothing to improve. Like, this is just awesome for the Power Rangers theme. So yeah, well, I mean, I'm a huge fan of their original work, in other games, but I'm just being completely honest. The remix didn't really win me over, even though the cover art's awesome. Okay, let's see. Do you like saxophone in games? Any particular good memories? I think it really depends. It's not my favorite instrument, but I've heard it used good available. Okay, here, I'll mention this since it's not in the episode for the Sonic thing, because it's just getting so long. I think it might just be trumpet. It's definitely brass instruments. I have to re-listen to it if it has saxophone or not. One of the music tracks I like in Sonic Adventure is one of the casino music, where it has like this big band style for it. It's like da 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 da. It's like da 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 da. There might have been a saxophone mixed in there somewhere. It may just be trumpets, though. I'm not sure. But yeah, for more like moody areas, I'm trying. I want the first thing I'm thinking of where I feel like it fits the mood, even though it's not quite my favorite, is the old LucasArts Sam and Max Hit the Road game, where they use sax. I remember they used saxophone to quite. They play to its strengths there, but it really depends on the song. For my taste, I feel like some instruments are more likely to have music I like using them. Like one of my favorites is what are called like pizzicato strings. I think it's like when you pluck like a violin. I've heard that used in all kinds of music I like. Whereas Saxophone, it depends. It's more of a depends thing for me. How do you feel about the new Mario collection having a limited release for both the physical and digital? Oh, so they're having a limited edition digital copy. Well, they're just it's just sort of a prick move doing that for a digital, to have limited edition digital stuff. I've always felt that that's just kind of a prick move. Physical, sure. You know, I mean, they want to have a limited run. They've done math, but yeah, I didn't realize it was a digital thing. Yeah. I mean, it's artificial scarcity, you know. Have you seen the Neuralink brain-to-machine interface? The chip in your brain that connects to your PC to resolve your GUI problem. No, I haven't. That might be one of those things where I'll be the old stodgy, the old fogey on. You know, when it comes to neural interface that requires an actual implant in your brain. That might be the line where, like, no, I'm the old one, so I'm the old guy. I'll be just hooking up the VR headset instead. But I'm pretty sure there's been ones in the past where they could just, you know, scan, like, they could scan like zones where it could get input from, but they may not be able to transmit it back, I guess is the thing. Do you believe we are in a unique moment in human history? Oh yeah. I mean, we've never had a population this big. We've never had technology this advanced. I think we have problems that we've seen in the past throughout history, but not on this scale. You know, with, I guess with environmental problems, I'm not sure we had on the scale that we're seeing. I mean, we're certainly in history book times. You know, interesting things are happening. You know, so yeah, for sure we're in unique times. I mean, maybe you could come to specific things that haven't really changed. You know, like I don't think human nature's changed too much. You know, so you know, philosophy from thousands of years ago probably is still just as relevant now as it was back then. But you know, it's. Let's see. Referring to the comments on sealing the daemon of Windows 10. Is there anything specific that limits you with the Windows 10 virtual machine? Oh yeah, I was thinking about a GPU pass-through, but that would require running 2 GPUs and having a switching script. Well, one would be game performance, and like even if that's acceptable, you can't. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, and boy, I'd love to be wrong. You cannot force anti-aliasing on the driver level in a virtual machine. So like through so like let's say you have an old game, like 15 years old, and you want anti-aliasing on it, you know? Like I had Messiah on. That game does not support anti-aliasing natively. So, but you can go into the control panel in NVIDIA or AMD and force anti-aliasing on. I mean, that's how I do it in Half-Life 2. It supports it, but the anti-aliasing I have is a superior method. You know, I'm doing full super sampling, like 8x. I don't think you can do that on a virtual machine. I guess it might work out for that. I've heard doing the GPU pass-through is just a major pain to do on Linux. And I get the feeling when Linux people say something's hard and a real pain to do, then they're not joking around. I'm thinking of that quote in Home Alone. I forget his name. It's like, well, Uncle Roger says I can't watch the movie. Because I'm too young. Like, and the mom's like, if Uncle Roger says you can't watch it, then it must be really bad. Like, you know, so it was a different name probably, but that's how I look at when Linux people say, yeah, this is hard to do in Linux. So. But yeah, that's the bigger limitation I've seen is just like high performance stuff, and it's kind of with games. There might be something else I'm thinking of, but I can't think of offhand. Yeah, and that's only for 3D games, really. For 2D stuff, uh, I'm not sure there's. Yeah, but virtual machines can be the way to go if they don't run natively. Let's see. Any interest in Zombie Panic source lake maps? Yeah, those can be kind of fun. Those really don't win any awards for aesthetics, but it depends, because sometimes this could either be fun, like if you get to see that snowball effect of more and more zombies, but I could see some rounds where it was just shooting fish in a barrel, where like the zombie would spawn and everybody's there sniping them, and it's just like, that's not very fun. So it depends. It could swing either way quite a bit. But yeah, I do like, my favorite maps are those ones where you're kind of held up somewhere and the zombies are beating down the entrance, and you're like, oh god, you know. So those are my favorites for sure. Ross, do you think we'll ever see the light on thorium-based fission, or at least reach sustainable fusion before that? No to the second part. I don't think we'll reach sustainable fusion for that. The fission, I have no idea. I've heard it's basically politics holding it up. I mean, I heard the corrosiveness of the water can be an issue, but there might be like ways around that. So it's mostly just bureaucracy and politics. Where do you get your scientific and mathematical jargon terms for Freeman's mind? Just preliminary research on the science concepts that sound cool, just going with it? Yeah, for some of it. Beyond that, I have a high school degree. I mean, most of my college wasn't focused on like hard sciences, but you know, I've picked up some things. Well, that's why I knew in Freeman's mind, like, wait a minute, I know that formula on the board. If I know it, it can't be that advanced. So, you know. Let's see. All of our physical models for the natural occurrence of the is this what, the asteroid? Have failed, thus the only logical explanation is that this is an alien satellite. Yeah. I don't know if Ross is still active on this forum, but I'll be glad to discuss the topic in the next stream. I don't know many details about it. I mean, it's you know, Carl Sagan has such a great quote that applies not just to stuff in space. It applies to just like, it applies to news in general. Like, you know, people probably know what I'm going to say. Like, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. You know, so the more out there what you're saying is, the more, yeah, you should probably get a lot of evidence to be able to back it up. Maybe there is for that it's an alien object. So, but you can, that's such a good, I'm finding, especially now where you're not always sure the validity of something, like the more evidence is just piled on. These are like reputable sources. And then when, or if it's a controversial topic, you hear both sides, and one side's making a lot of sound arguments, and they're willing to hear the other side out and address them point by point, you know, really slow down with it and rather just do quick soundbitey stuff. That makes me lean towards that side. Whereas if there's a contentious issue and one side's just not even willing to hear this discussed, or, you know, it's only sound bites, and when they get pressed on it, they move to another topic. Well, then I don't tend to trust that side very much. But I sort of veered off course there. But that's such a great quote that applies to that. So if you're saying something that sounds really out there, well, let's see the documents here. And, you know, and if your evidence is also a conspiracy, well, I probably don't have much of a reason to believe it, you know. Whereas if you're coming with, oh yeah, here's a bunch of evidence going back to the 70s, like here's this article, you know, like here are the figures, somebody went out and measured these stuff, like, oh, well, okay, maybe there's something to this, and it's just not mentioned very well. So yeah, I don't know. I get the feeling if this was like dead to rights alien object, we'd probably be hearing more about it. So, but maybe not, you know, Well, hey, there's a reason Rama's hard science fiction, you know? Let's see. What do you think of other people who do creative stuff such as Bill Wirtz? I don't know who that is. Maybe I do and I don't know the name. I'm looking it up. Okay, and YouTube. Top video is Might Quit from a year ago. Maybe he quit. Oh, wait, is this the... Oh, I think I did see this. They did the History of the World or something. Yeah, okay, I did see that video. Or History of Japan. Okay, if that's what I'm thinking of, well, yeah, that was good. I mean, that's one of those where this has millions and millions of views, and you know what? They earned it. You know, it's... I can totally understand where this is... a lot of people would find this entertaining, you know? Okay, I lost my place. Let's see. You know, just search for Wirtz. And it didn't... Oh, come on. I'm using KREC. I do a search and it doesn't highlight it, or it's like I can't immediately see it. Okay, sorry guys, I lost my place. I'll just try to scroll up until I see something that... Or scroll down. Okay, what do you think of very different covers of pop music that appear in movie trailers? Oh, well, I don't know how it pertains as far as movie trailers. I'm fine with other renditions. Sometimes I like the alternate version more. Again, this might... People might disagree with this, but you know, in the last video, Game Dungeon, I mentioned, you know, suicide is painless for the MASH theme song. I like the Marilyn Manson version better. So oh man, there's some other songs where I like the... I think I heard a remix of Magic Roller. Oh yeah, that's one where Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Roller Coaster, Love Roller Coaster. Yeah, I like their version of that better. Man, there's some more I'm thinking of. Magic Carpet Ride. I forget who did I think the original is by Steppenwolf. Somebody did a remix version of it. I kind of like that a little more. It's on the soundtrack to the movie Go, which is it's a fun movie, you know. It's sort of like one of those... It's like a sort of a 90s kind of smart comedy movie. It's a little bit like Train Spotting without the heavy stuff. You know, it's just comedy the whole way. Just guys having a wild time getting into trouble, you know. Let's see. Yeah, no, I'm fine with... In fact, I kind of prefer... Actually, I think there was a Rob Zombie track I like the remix more than the original, which doesn't happen a lot, but I forgot which one. But I prefer covers that do go off in a different direction a little more than just usually. Sometimes, because then it's like, oh, this is kind of a new take on it. Oh, that's one for sure where like the new version, just like, I love the new one. What was it? Let me get the title right. Give me a second. Yeah, okay. Love Song, the cover. Yeah, I think the original is by The Cure. The cover by Snake River Conspiracy. Check that one out. That one's awesome. Like, so. Yeah, so yeah, I'm all for it. The cover sounds good, but I've heard plenty that I don't really care for, and I prefer the original. Oh yeah. Well, actually, you want a classic one? House of the Rising Sun. I think the Animals one is the cover, and that's a great. I love that one. So, and actually, I kind of like the German one that was used in the Wolfenstein trailer. to bring this all full circle. The Wolfenstein New Order, where it's an alternate history where we have sort of a waltz version of it instead. Okay, I should keep moving. Have you ever wondered, Russ, how come nowadays there's an app for everything except how to cook a baby? Well, there's not an app for some GUI stuff I want, so let's see. I was thinking, I found the Bill Wirtz question again. I was thinking, I admit I am a little jealous of the fact that I would love to be able to just make a video like once a year, have it get millions of views, and then you support yourself off of that. Don't get me wrong. I want to get videos out faster, but I don't want to have like the never-ending pressure of it, Whereas if I feel like I'm just gonna be fine, if I just, like, let's say I made a great game dungeon, worked on the movie for a year, and then I'm still okay. Don't have to worry about rent. So I'll be. Like, I get the feeling like if I were to retire, it would be kind of like that. I'd keep making videos, but it would just be 100% at my own pace. But I would probably go for more ambitious stuff then too. So the videos would be even less frequent, but they would probably be even better. So. Okay. Russ, if you ever looked at the comments section for your old Game Dungeon videos, there are at least 3 where the developers have commented. And the comment threads are awesome. Oh, man. That's actually something Spencer Tommen was helping me with, to kind of browse through if there are any ones like that I should check. YouTube comments, it's just, I was struggling to reply to someone. Like someone made a comment I thought was interesting, so I gave a reply to it. And then I tried to find it again later. It's like, good God. Like, it's just, I think at one point it literally wasn't there. Then I checked again later and it was, but it was like 10 pages down and you have to wait and scroll. Like, YouTube comment system's awful, really. I mean, it's just kind of I guess that's more of a survival of the fittest thing, natural selection. And that doesn't even mean the best comments make it to the top. It means like the best comments at the time the video is released probably make it to the top. That's actually a really good place to stop this, but I'll just check a few more for questions. Let's see. Have you looked at the Crack Watch subreddit? No, I haven't. Isn't it affiliate? I generally don't look at like Reddit stuff unless I'm looking for specific information. Or sometimes people send me links. So Reddit's one of those things where it's just like kind of an endless feed, I'm not the best when it comes to Infinity, Like I for sure have met my match and then some when it comes to Infinity, Well, like I'm always gonna kind of lose against Infinity. Let's see. Russ, did you get a chance to see the new Path of Exile League trailer? Yes, I did. Path of Exile is one of those I liked a lot, but I feel like it also sort of tricked me into playing it more than I would have in the past. I haven't played it, I guess I played a little bit at the beginning of this year. I never do the leagues, because that's like, that unless you're a new player returning after years, or you're a professional streamer, the leagues, or you don't play any other games. If you play no other games, the leagues for Path of Exile are the ultimate, like, we have no respect for your time. If you don't know what I'm talking about, pretend you're playing an RPG where it takes a while to grind to the top, and then you get like, the leagues are sort of like mini expansions, sort of like DLC equivalents. So imagine there's some new stuff coming out for your RPG, but the only way you can play it is to start a new character from level 1 and with no items. So all the grind that you did, like an MMO, you have to start from the beginning, and you have to go through the same storyline and everything again. Like that's just zero respect for people's time. But that's what that works. It makes sense from a monetary perspective, and so I never do. I think the only league I ever did was Harbinger, because they gave a a real excuse to do it. But I feel like I've seen almost everything there is to see in Path of Exile. So I kind of don't want to play it. I kind of want to hold off as long, probably years, before I play it again. I'd rather just play different games, play more variety. And even then, when I went back, I only went there with one specific purpose, like earlier this year, and that was to play. That was because they added a map mod for Blight, which I love. Blight's awesome. It's like this tower defense mode where they just throw just like hundreds of enemies at you, and they're just, it's kind of, yeah, it's a tower defense. It's a tower defense merged with an action RPG. And after that, I went on this binge where I played Death Trap on GOG, which is kind of similar. It's action RPG and it's a tower defense thing. So, but beyond that, I feel like I've seen everything I want to see that doesn't have an insane like grind lock behind it. We're talking like 50 hours or more, maybe. Well, if you're as good as I am, 50 hours or more. Maybe if you're professional, you can do it in 8 or something. I don't know. I say good as I am, I'm okay, like, and for those, I just watch video clips. So, okay, a few more questions. I don't know exactly which channels are underrated. I haven't been watching enough YouTube, I guess, but working on the videos. Yes, I definitely have thoughts on Destiny 2's content vaulting, although I heard they were just getting rid of it. I think that's a real crap move. I mean, it's the whole artificial scarcity again. Or hey, if you wanted the everybody wins solution, you say they look at the statistics, say, okay, not a lot of people are going here. They do small modifications that try to steer you away from those areas, right? But if you want to, you can download that as a separate download and then access them. So if you go to them, they say, well, this require. So they have the core game. They maybe rearrange the geometry so that it's more of a hidden thing you have to get to, so that the casual player is unlikely to find it. But if you really want to, fine. You load it up, and it's a separate download, and you play it. That's the everybody wins solution. So then they can make their game smaller. They can focus on the areas where most people are, but then they're not deleting content from the game. And this is going to be mentioned in the Dream Software video, for sure. So. Okay, I think I'm going to have to stop on this question. Well, okay, wait. You're thinking of software-based virtual machines. Running a VM off a hardware-based hypervisor makes the game look like native hardware. Yeah, I think there was an issue with that. Like, I couldn't stay on Windows 7 for that because hardware was going to outpace the drivers. But, okay, I'm just scanning the questions, make sure there's not like some great ones. Let's see. Yeah, this is the question about mazes and aesthetics. That'll have to get voted up. I need more time to think about that. Russ, you missed a lot of questions when you scrolled up. Oh well. I'm sorry. This is and I've been going 3.5 hours almost. This is you know how internet service providers like to say this is a best effort service. This is kind of how the video chat is. Have you ever seen 4Y Records on YouTube? No, I haven't. I can look into that. Okay, one of the questions was about Iron Harvest. I have a surprise for everybody. Days ago, GOG contacted me and asked if I wanted to give away some free keys to Iron Harvest on GOG. There's 10 of them. And Twitch people aren't going to like this, But I realized when I do these giveaways live on Twitch, that's probably skewing towards the same smaller group, because I see comments all the time saying, oh, I missed this. So YouTube people, if you're watching this, you have a chance to get this too. It's going to be more equal opportunity here. You're going to have a few days. I decided how I'm going to do this. I had to brainstorm, how am I going to do this in a way that doesn't result in me getting flooded with hundreds of emails? So here's how I'm going to decide the winners. I'll have a link to this in the YouTube description. This has nothing to do with the game, but I thought last time how I wish I had kind of a bounty to get more stuff from the GUI things. This is easy. You don't need any skills to do this. So what I thought I'd do is I'm going to make, you will have to sign up for the forum though. This on accurseforums.com. This is not a ploy to get people to sign up. Again, I don't care if you, but this way I could do it without getting flooded with emails and widening it up to just everybody watching this. Recently, I saw news on how there's this online museum of Winamp 2 skins. And I thought, this is awesome. This shows the kind of variety you saw in the GUI that I was kind of remembering from the early 2000s, because it ended up coming to 65,000 skins or more. So there's something for everybody in there. You might have to hunt for it, but it is there. So what I thought is I'll set up a thread for this. Pick out the skin you think you personally would want to skin your OS with, like Windows or Linux or Mac. Like, you see how this skin looks, and you thought, yeah, I would want that skin for just the whole OS. That's like, if I could just pick one, like, which one would you pick? So all you have to do is go there, just browse, find the one that you like the most, and then like post the image link in the thread. I'll have instructions. I'll make this real easy to figure out. And at the end of the week, let's say like Saturday, sometime my time, I don't have a set date. I'll just go through, pick the top 10 that I think, like, yeah, this would look awesome. If I was shipping a new OS, I would want this skin. Like, dark skins are okay, but they better look cool, you know? Just pick out I'll pick the top 10 ones I like the best, and those will be the winners. If 2 or more people pick the same skin, then I'll just roll a dice or flip a coin. So it's in your interest odds-wise to pick one that nobody else has. So if they get the same one, there's only going to be one winner per skin to pick out which one. And I'll announce the winners at the end, and then I'll private message you the keys in the forum, you know, in a Curse Farms forum. So yeah, this is being sponsored by GOG. They just, a rep came to me, asked if I wanted to give it. I'm interested in this game. This is an alternate history World War I game with steampunk robots. It's a strategy game. I'm pretty sure this is on the games list. If it's not, it was supposed to be. So I haven't played it yet. I was able to grab a copy for me, but yeah, it came as a complete surprise for it. So so it's saying dieselpunk.steampunk. Well, you know, do they use? It depends. You know, I mean, what do you think powers like a locomotive with the black smoke coming out? You know, but whatever. The game looks pretty good to me. I mean, just from the presentation, I was interested in this already, and this is a brand new game, so I'll put that in the description. That'll be like the first link in the description, like to the thread that talks about this and to the Winamp museum. So yeah, you'll get the browse. Oh yeah, and I'll say, if you want a bit of a hint, I'm not gonna. A bunch of those Winamp skins I think are pretty forgettable. Like, they're just a picture of like a celebrity or a scene from a movie. I'll tell you right now, those automatically won't win. So you're gonna want ones that look like some sort of coherent theme, that look like, yeah, pretend you're launching a new OS, like, you know, like Windows 11 or something. Like, what would be an awesome way for, what would look awesome? So I'm gonna be biased a little bit towards stuff that just looks slick, or look, that looks pretty cool, you know? Like if you were trying to promote it, like, yeah, and I'll just, so My tastes are unfortunately a bias in this, but this is about as random as I can get it. So I'll end it on that. So yeah, 10 of you will win the Iron Harvest GOG copy. And yeah, I guess may the best skins win there. So okay, I think that's it then.